Under a cold moon, a dark fortress awaits its final challenger. A voice from the shadows scoffs at a human's audacity. He catches his breath, the praise of his enemy ringing in his ears. At the end of the hall, the master of this domain finally reveals himself. This is Demon Lord Farza, a being of immense power and rank. But fear is the last thing on the challenger's mind. Han Jae-woo, Elector Steel, declares this reign of terror is over. He unleashes a devastating technique, the empirical sword's final form. With a wild cry, he brings his blade down for the final blow. And then, the universe decides to throw in a pop-up ad. But it wasn't an ad. It was a server disconnection at the worst possible moment. The memory of the fight replays, Farza's voice mocking his flawed technique. In the game, Han Jae-woo's avatar screams in pure, unadulterated panic. The world around him begins to flicker and dissolve into nothingness. The system reminds him of the quest, the raid against the seventh demon lord, Farza. His name flashes across the screen, a final record of his attempt. And the final soul-crushing result, a failure to clear the raid. The scene cuts to reality, where two men discuss how to wake Jae-woo up. One of them gives instructions, but his partner has already found a problem. And we find our culprit, who just accidentally unplugged the most important raid of all time. Awake and absolutely furious, Han Jae-woo demands to know who unplugged the cable. He erupts in a rage, screaming that victory was just within his grasp. As he throttles the culprit, his mind begins to drift back in time. He reflects that despite his current appearance, he was once a big deal. Known as Hanum's problem solver, he was a force to be reckoned with. He was also the brains of the operation, a veritable money-making machine. Jae-woo remembers a time when he lived a life of luxury and excess. But one day, amidst all the violence and success, something began to change. A profound sense of emptiness started to creep into his world. He came to see the money and power he chased as utterly meaningless. It was in a mega-quality VR game that he found his new purpose. A sprawling, single-player open world became his new reality. For a man who'd never even opened a picture book, this was a revelation. He discovered a world that felt truly magical. It was populated by a host of beautiful characters from every species. He found himself completely captivated by their individual stories. This virtual world began to change the man who once only cared for money. To fully immerse himself, he decided to borrow a little cash. He went all in, buying a game capsule worth a staggering 1 billion won, a decision that, by his own admission, was completely and utterly crazy. The man on the floor protests, claiming he's the one who funded this whole venture. But Han Jae-woo just smiles, a chilling expression that promises retribution. He begins to list their dirty little secrets, one by one. The man fires back, calling out Jae-woo's own insane 1 billion won loan. The accusation hits a nerve, and the man quickly tries to take it back. But the question hangs in the air. How could he ever repay such a debt? The answer lies in the virtual world, through endless hours of grinding. He faced down terrifying beasts, learning every corner of the game's world. He meticulously studied its secrets, charting every path and every monster. All that knowledge was then poured into the ultimate walkthrough guide. A guide so perfect, it guaranteed victory for anyone who followed it. But in reality, his own life was a far more difficult grind. His bank account told a grim story of dwindling funds and mounting pressure. Back in the present, his old associate begs him to return to their world. But Han Jae-woo's answer is a simple, resounding no. He turns his back on his past, his eyes fixed on his true purpose. He's chasing the one thing no one has ever achieved, the game's true ending. For him, it's the only way to repay the world that gave him meaning. He shoves his former colleagues out, ignoring their demands for money. With the real world finally shut out, he can breathe a sigh of relief. His resolve is hardened, ready to face the virtual world once more. He prepares to re-enter the game, his reflection a ghost of the man he's leaving behind. The system initiates, the digital world reassembling around him. He logs back into the world, greeted by the familiar sight of Bayern Cathedral. He materializes as Elector Steel, thankfully spared a death penalty for the disconnect. The reality of his failed raid hits him, and it's all about the money he just lost. A calm voice interrupts his meltdown, stating the painfully obvious. Caught off guard, he scans the room, searching for the speaker. A cascade of white hair announces the presence of a new arrival. Stunned, he can only ask the question on his mind. Who is this person? She introduces herself as Aquila, the game master for Savior of Humanity. Han Jae-woo scoffs, finding it hard to believe a kid could hold such a title. But she playfully warns him not to judge by appearances. This form is her choice. He laughs, refusing to believe her just because she appeared out of thin air. In response, Aquila simply snaps her fingers with a sharp crack. Suddenly, the entire world freezes, trapping every player and NPC in time. The surrounding NPCs are frozen in shock, recognizing a time-stopping spell. One even identifies it as a legendary SSS rank skill. Aquila casually explains she just took the server down for a second. So, GM perks. With his attention secured, she pivots to a new 7th anniversary event. Aquila announces the grand opening of a brand new world. Hanju scoffs, calling her insane for suggesting he start over. But Aquila just leans in closer, playfully asking if he's afraid of a challenge. A dangerous fire ignites in his eyes. Fear is the last thing on his mind. She then dangles the one thing he's always wanted, the game's true ending. She reveals that the clues to reach it are waiting for him in this new world. Hanju is speechless, the weight of her offer sinking in. He reaches out, a silent plea for her to wait as he processes the impossible choice. To seal the deal, she offers a little something extra for signing up today. Suddenly, a notification confirms a transfer of 30 million won to his account. Aquila calls him her VIP, showing a leaderboard where his name sits miles above the rest. Hanju is ecstatic, realizing this much money changes everything for him. With a determined grin, he knows his real-world debt is safe for another month. His passion reignited, he declares he'd be a fool to turn down this challenge. Aquila smirks, having predicted his answer, and prepares to send him on his way. Her playful demeanor vanishes as her eyes glow, initiating the installation sequence. A glowing sigil appears on her cheek as the world around them begins to shift. She reveals her true angelic form, confirming Game Master was a bit of an understatement. The old world begins to deconstruct, its inhabitants dissolving into pure data. Everything is erased, leaving only Hanju, the GM, and a single door on a barren moon. Aquila points to the lone door, explaining it's the gateway to the new world. He confirms that all he has to do is step through to begin the new game. With his decision made, he turns and walks toward the blinding light. His hands push the doors wide, unleashing a torrent of pure energy. But he pauses for one last, very important reminder. Don't forget the money. With his arms spread wide, he steps forward to claim the true ending. But Aquila's playful smile hides a sinister secret she forgot to mention. The catch? If his character dies in this event, he dies in real life too. Just a minor detail. The realization hits him like a truck, his mind struggling to process the words. And just like that, his entire world explodes. He plummets from the sky, a sharp projectile narrowly missing him. Hanju crashes into the ground, his new life beginning with a painful thud. He grits his teeth, shocked by the very real pain coursing through him. His mind flashes back to Aquila's smug grin, the horrifying truth finally setting in. He digs his fingers into the dirt, his rage directed at the Game Master who tricked him. But fury gives way to resolve. His eyes glow with a promise to conquer this world. He lets out a defiant scream, a challenge hurled at the heavens themselves. A system window appears, branding him the former Elector Steel. Just to rub it in. With a slam of a virtual joystick, the death game officially begins. A profile reveals Aquila's true nature, the AI god of this world, with a love for cute things and a completely unreadable mind. The game is savior of humanity, a masterpiece known for its brutal difficulty. He stumbles through a dark forest, his new body already weak and parched. He curses Aquila's name, his rage boiling over as he demands to see his status. The stats are a cruel joke, a max HP of 20 and a measly 3 mana. Just half a day in and he's already dehydrated, questioning how victory is even possible. But then, a faint sound cuts through his despair, the promise of water. A wild, desperate hope ignites in his eyes as he realizes what he's heard. He finds a pristine stream, tearfully thanking Bear Grylls for the pro tips. He drinks deeply from the cool water, his stats slowly beginning to recover. But as he recovers, an elegant hand signals a new presence nearby. His relief is cut short as he realizes he's not alone in the stream. A stunning figure emerges from the mist, completely unaware of his presence. The sight is so overwhelming the system actually dings him for 1 HP. But through his daze, he notices a strange wing-like marking on her shoulder. His eyes widen, a spark of recognition flashing through his mind. But just as he's about to figure it out, the game hits him with a paywall. He explodes in rage, furious that even a VIP has to pay for DLC. His tantrum is interrupted by 3 witches, the game's very own monetization police. Defeated, he can only stare, the reality of his empty pockets crashing down. The scene abruptly cuts to a memory of his old life, when he was the one in control. Back in the present, Han Jae-woo is completely at the witch's mercy. The monetization police mock him as his health continues to drain away. One of them leans in, making a rather unsettling offer for his cooperation. He finds himself tied up alongside another unfortunate soul. His fellow captive is confused, but Jae-woo plays it off with a pained grin. The monster hunter introduces himself as Rudd, and Jae-woo gives a fake name, Valorstead Valor. Rudd recounts his story of being ambushed while hunting near the witch's forest. When the question is turned on him, Jae-woo gives a conveniently vague answer. But while his new friend offers pity, our boy is already working on an escape plan. He smirks, revealing that this kind of tight spot is his specialty. When asked if he has a way out, Han Jae-woo's eyes burn with absolute certainty. Because he's not just some random captive, he wrote the guide on how to beat them. He recalls the 3 agonizing days he spent grinding to master this very encounter. These are the 5 witches of Havel: Gunda, Kaldura, Aldaida, Fugel, and Hejuju. Though they are early game bosses, they're infamous for slaughtering thousands of players. But Han Jae-woo knows their secret. Beneath the power, they're a dysfunctional mess. His confident expression is so unsettling, it's starting to scare his new friend. And as he thinks back, the first piece of his escape plan clicks into place. He immediately starts sowing discord, casually provoking a witch named Fugel. He then recalls that another witch, Hejuju, had already promised to kill her. But Hejuju, the target of his lie, simply holds up a hand, unimpressed. Fugel, however, completely takes the bait, her eyes glowing with rage. Han Jae-woo doubles down, claiming Hejuju plans to steal all her assets after the murder. The accusation sends Fugel into a frenzy, demanding to know if it's true. Hejuju scoffs, questioning why anyone would believe the words of their prisoner. But Han Jae-woo just smirks, knowing he's not done pouring gasoline on this fire. He turns to Hejuju, taunting her about all the money she's supposedly after. A third witch chimes in, confirming she saw Hejuju making an acid bomb. Timing is everything, I guess. Meanwhile, a 4th witch is completely lost, only wanting to know when dinner is. And the 5th, a born fighter, gets excited at the prospect of a brawl. The chaos erupts exactly as planned, a symphony of pure dysfunction. He recalls that despite their fearsome reputation, they lack any semblance of teamwork. In fact, their complete lack of unity is their greatest, most exploitable weakness. It's this internal strife that so many players failed to understand. And for someone who knows their every secret, turning them on each other is child's play. He turns to his fellow captive, telling Rudd it's time to make their move. But before they escape, Han Jae-woo has one more trick up his sleeve. With a single, decisive pull, he yanks the rug from under their feet. The witches tumble into a hidden pit, their squabbles forgotten in a wave of panic. With their captors neutralized, Han Jae-woo points the way to freedom. He smirks as the witches take damage, noting the sweet EXP gain. But his escape is cut short as a spectral snake ensnares his leg. From the pit, Fugel glares up with a promise not to go down alone. He's thrashed against the floor, the snake's attacks relentless. In his panic, he remembers a crucial detail. His character is pathetically weak. Just then, his new companion Rudd shouts that he's coming to help. The monster hunter leaps into action, sword drawn to sever the magical beast. With a clean slice, Rudd's blade cuts through the snake, freeing Jae-woo. Rudd checks on him, and Han Jae-woo offers his sincere thanks for the save. But the fight isn't over. Jae-woo asks to borrow Rudd's bow for his plan. He grips the borrowed bow, its stats a grim reminder of his low level. He admits he knows a thing or two about archery, drawing the string back with focus. His true target comes into view, a small vial hanging directly above the pit. The arrow flies true, shattering the container with a precise strike. Down below, Fugel looks up in confusion, sensing something is terribly wrong. Her eyes widen in horror as she recognizes the falling liquid. It's an acid bomb. Hejuju, the very witch accused of making it, can only scream in disbelief. The corrosive acid rains down upon the trapped witches, a perfect storm of chaos. As the acid hits the strange liquid in the pit, a violent reaction begins. The entire pit erupts in a massive fiery explosion, sealing their fate. The blast sends shrapnel flying, and Jae-woo takes a hit for a single point of damage. Rudd cautiously asks if they're finally safe, but Jae-woo knows better than to jinx it. But the system confirms their victory, granting a massive haul of experience points. With the threat officially gone, Han Jae-woo can finally celebrate their success. He's practically giddy, realizing he's just hit the early game jackpot. Rudd rushes over, overcome with gratitude for the man who saved his life. Han Jae-woo, however, seems to be thinking of something else entirely. As a token of thanks, Rudd offers him a small pouch of red dragon fruits. Jae-woo is stunned. This is a reward he never encountered in his original playthrough. Rudd explains he simply grabbed them from the witch's nest, thinking they looked valuable. Without a second thought, Han Jae-woo begins devouring the rare fruit. The effect is instantaneous, transforming him into a dragon bone with immense power. His stats skyrocket, a boost that most players could only dream of achieving. Rudd watches on, a satisfied smile playing on his lips, clearly impressed. Han Jae-woo is still processing the sudden power-up, his mouth completely full. Seeing his potential, Rudd extends an invitation to join him in monster hunting. The offer hangs in the air as our boy considers his next move. Once he can swallow. And just like that, the system confirms a new relationship route has been unlocked. A system prompt reveals a crucial piece of lore about the game's Guardian class. With this new information, a cunning plan begins to form in his mind. Han Jae-woo finally finishes his power-up snack, much to Rudd's confusion. He politely turns down the monster hunter's offer, explaining he has other plans. But then, a thought strikes him, a sudden and brilliant opportunity. He realizes all the EXP from the witches will vanish if he doesn't find a class soon. Just as Rudd is about to leave, Han Jae-woo calls out with a counteroffer, 3 months. He extends his hand, a silent challenge asking if that's enough time. Rudd turns back with a predatory grin, amused by the boy's sheer audacity. With their new partnership forged, the two venture deeper into the woods. Rudd lays out the first test. Han Jae-woo must hide anywhere he can. The hunter gives him a 30-minute head start before the real training begins. Rudd watches from a distance, impressed by Han Jae-woo's quick learning. But Jae-woo isn't just learning. He's remembering a path he's run 1,000 times. He knows this forest like the back of his hand, a map etched into his memory. Every rock, every root, every single twig is a familiar landmark. He navigates the disorienting trees and poison spores with practiced ease. He even recalls the hiding spots of beasts far deadlier than the witches. And with the power of the dragon fruit, his body can finally keep up with his mind. He smirks, absolutely certain that the hunter will never find him. A sudden chill runs down his spine, his confidence instantly evaporating. And Rudd appears from nowhere, proving that game knowledge can't beat a jump scare. Rudd gives him a failing grade, but adds a few bonus points for sheer effort. Han Jae-woo is floored, demanding to know how the hunter found him. But Rudd just smiles, admitting it's been a while since he had such a fun student. With a playful gesture, he leads the way, ready to begin their training in earnest. The system dings, confirming the hunter's hazing is complete, and a new trial has begun. With it comes a flood of rewards, the monster hunter class, and a host of new skills. Han Jae-woo examines his new tracking ability, a confident smirk on his face. His eyes glow with a familiar, terrifying greed. Oh boy, here we go again. And so their unlikely partnership officially begins under a clear blue sky. 3 months later, Rudd can only watch in awe, impressed by his student's mastery. Han Jae-woo flips the script, challenging his master to a game of hide-and-seek. Amused by his student's spirit, Rudd accepts the challenge with a proud smile. He adds a simple wager. If he isn't found in an hour, Jae-woo is on dinner duty. Han Jae-woo's expression darkens as he accepts the terms with chilling confidence. His eyes glow with predatory intent. The student is ready to hunt the master. Meanwhile, Rudd scales a cliff, feeling grateful for such a promising apprentice. He decides to go easy on the kid, not wanting to make the challenge impossible. He figures a simple cliffside hiding spot will be more than enough to win the bet. Famous last words, but his confidence is shattered as a hand suddenly grips his ankle. He looks down in utter disbelief to find Han Jae-woo already waiting for him. With a terrifyingly cheerful grin, Han Jae-woo reveals his hiding spot. The past 3 months have been a blur of Rudd getting constantly outplayed. His student has already mastered skills that should have taken years to learn. In fact, he's mastered techniques that took Rudd himself 5 years to perfect. Desperate to win, Rudd ventures into a dark cave for the ultimate hiding spot. He tries to convince himself there's no way the kid would follow him here. Poor guy. But his confidence shatters when he realizes he's walked into a hellhound's nest. Han Jae-woo's voice cuts through the darkness, quoting his own walkthrough guide. He appears from nowhere, explaining that sleeping hellhounds are notoriously deep sleepers. With a smug grin, he asks his terrified master if he's finally passed the test. Rudd can only offer a weary confirmation of his utter defeat. He's in awe of how much his student has mastered in just 3 short months. Han Jae-woo has unlocked powerful new skills, like the furious 5-hit combo. He plays it off, but secretly knows it was the witch EXP that fueled his rapid growth. Rudd is amazed by his knowledge, but Jae-woo knows he didn't learn it. He wrote the book on it. The hunter can only laugh, certain that this kid is destined for greatness. With the training complete, Rudd asks what his student's next move will be. Han Jae-woo's answer is simple: it's time to get paid. Rudd has the perfect idea, suggesting Jae-woo try his hand at mercenary work. Our boy's eyes light up. He knows this is the fastest way to build his fortune. He grins, knowing the mercenary life offers freedom, flexibility, and endless targets. It's also his best chance to meet the legendary guardians of this world. With his decision made, he eagerly accepts the path of a mercenary. Rudd offers him an old mercenary badge, a token to prove his identity. With a final farewell to Master Rudd, Valorstead Valor is ready to set out. He walks away, confident that this is the perfect start to his new life. He clutches the badge, feeling for the first time that a true ending is possible. Aquila's tempting words echo in his mind, reminding him of his ultimate goal. For the first time, he truly believes that the fabled ending might exist. And somewhere out there, the Game Master holds the very first clue. He reflects on the thrill of this death game, where every moment could be his last. He decides to channel that constant tension into pure, focused power. With a renewed sense of purpose, he psychs himself up for the journey ahead. He throws a challenge to the heavens, promising Aquila he will see this through. The system confirms his success and issues his next quest: join the Mercenary Guild. Meanwhile, in her cosmic control room, Aquila is having the time of her life. She found his clever manipulation of the witches absolutely hilarious. Wiping away a tear of laughter, she's glad she chose him for this event. But her private viewing party is interrupted by a radiant, descending figure. The newcomer confirms their interest in Han Jae-woo, noting he's no ordinary player. Aquila teases the newcomer, asking if she's developed a little crush on their human. The radiant being is named Valpergus, another celestial watching from the heavens. Valpergus scoffs at the idea, but Aquila insists there's no harm in finding him cute. The goddess seems less than impressed by the Game Master's playful accusations. Aquila laments that her divine companion has grown far too serious over the years. Changing the subject, Valpergus asks if Aquila really paid off Han Jae-woo's debt. She's horrified to learn the debt is gone, but our boy is still fighting as if it exists. Aquila finds the whole charade endlessly entertaining. For science. On her screen, Han Jae-woo is seen brimming with a newfound purpose and vitality. Valpergus calls her awful, but Aquila just smiles, taking it as the highest praise. Valpergus presses for answers, asking if Han Jae-woo is part of a grander scheme. Or, she wonders, is he just another one of the Game Master's disposable toys? Aquila just lounges back, enjoying the goddess's concern with a playful hum. She corrects her, calling him not a toy but a promising talent. Her eyes glow with an unsettling light, a hint of the true chaos she's unleashed. Valpergus can only suggest they keep watching, unable to predict what comes next. The system reminds us of a crucial rule. His massive EXP boost has an expiration date. Back in the forest, Han Jae-woo collapses, his body already pushed to its absolute limit. He curses the unforgiving landscape, wondering how he's supposed to survive this. But he forces himself up, knowing his dragonbone body is the only reason he's still alive. After a long journey, Han Jae-woo finally arrives at the city of Frankfurt, his destination in sight. He steps into the local tavern where 2 cheerful waitresses offer a warm welcome. Playing the part of a bashful traveler, he awkwardly explains he's looking for someone. He knows this is the perfect spot. A classic RPG tavern is the best place for intel. After all, a little bit of ale always loosens the tongue of a weary traveler. And most importantly, he notes, the waitresses are exceptionally cute. A man of culture, I see. With a sly grin, he casually asks if they know a man named Rebus Chaltz. In an instant, the entire tavern falls silent, every eye turning to him with cold hostility. A terrified waitress grabs his arm, warning him that name is forbidden in this place. Her friend adds that the man is dangerously infamous, her own boyfriend having suffered at his hands. She tearfully explains her boyfriend returned from a job looking like a mummy, a warning Han Jae-woo takes to heart. The other patrons are also victims, their morale dropping as they recount their own failures against even the weakest monsters. The waitress frantically pushes him to leave, warning him that the man he seeks is on his way. But before he can react, a powerful blow sends him stumbling across the room. Dazed and confused, he looks up, trying to identify his attacker. A hulking figure with glowing red eyes looms over him, introducing himself as Reebs Chaltz. His gaze falls upon the mercenary badge hanging from Han Jae-woo's belt. He instantly recognizes it as Rudd's badge, a look of understanding dawning on his face. The man erupts in laughter, declaring this is perfect timing for finding a new companion. Han Jae-woo realizes he's been set up, silently cursing Rudd's name for this so-called introduction. But the man's menacing aura vanishes as he laughs, claiming it was all just a joke. Han Jae-woo, however, makes a silent promise that Rudd is a dead man for this setup. Rebs explains that Jae-woo is now his companion in a war between the Prince-Elector and Pizamut. He calls it a great opportunity, though our boy feels more like he's been forcibly conscripted. The Prince-Elector is revealed to be one of the game's legendary guardians, a key figure in Pulse. A plan forms in Han Jae-woo's mind. This is his chance to find the other guardians. Just then, the sound of a horn echoes through the city, heralding an important arrival. Reebs grins as the Prince-Elector appears, and a system alert dings Jae-woo for ambush damage. A grand procession of knights in shining armor marches through the town square. While Reebs admires the soldiers, Han Jae-woo finds it odd to be on this side of the law for once. The system confirms he's met a guardian, but Han Jae-woo thinks he looks more like a final boss. But as Reebs holds him in place, his attention is suddenly drawn elsewhere. He recognizes another figure in the procession, one he never expected to see. A knight in brilliant winged armor rides at the Prince-Elector's side. Her presence is commanding, a symbol of both grace and immense power. And then he sees her name, Dame Valpergus, the earthly form of the goddess Valperga. The Prince-Elector seems to notice his knight's attention has wandered. With a slight smirk, he asks if something has caught her eye. The question catches Valpergus completely off guard, her composure faltering for a moment. She quickly denies it, but a faint blush betrays her true feelings. Han Jae-woo watches the procession leave, knowing the battlefield awaits him. His mind flashes back to his old playthroughs, where Valpergus was his companion. He remembers the horrifying otherworldly beast that always stood in their way, and he remembers the one constant in every timeline: he could never save her. Rebes asks if he's all right, but Han Jae-woo hides his turmoil, claiming nothing is wrong. Unseen by him, Valpergus makes a similar vow, ready to risk everything this time. But this time is different. Han Jae-woo swears he will find an ending where she survives. His new life as a conscript begins in a dusty training yard filled with sparring soldiers. The training is brutal and relentless, a chaotic clash of steel and sweat. Han Jae-woo can only watch, wryly comparing the intense regimen to the Marine Corps. Rebes announces the training has already begun, a system window confirming their arrival. He explains they're just in time for sparring matches to select new group leaders. The winner of one such match celebrates his victory, a bag of prize money in hand. Han Jae-woo decides to lay low for now, his only goal being to meet the Prince-Elector. But Reebs has other plans, grabbing him and declaring he's joining the fray. He's certain Rudd wouldn't have sent a rookie, completely ignoring Jae-woo's protests. He throws our boy to the wolves, asking for volunteers to fight the new guy. The other mercenaries are practically salivating, eager for a piece of the fresh meat. Han Jae-woo realizes he has no choice, a familiar feeling of being railroaded washing over him. He finds himself in the center of the ring, facing his first opponent as the crowd looks on. A burly mercenary named Max steps forward, and the system confirms the duel is on. Max mocks his slender frame, but Han Jae-woo just introduces himself with his fake name. Reebs grins, clearly enjoying the show as he asks if both fighters are ready. With a signal from Reebs, the match begins, the two combatants circling each other. Max lunges forward with a ferocious cry, bringing his sword down in a powerful arc. But in a flash of steel, the attack is over before it even truly begins. The onlookers, including Reebs, can only stare in stunned silence at the outcome. Max lies defeated in a single blow, and the system confirms Han Jae-woo's victory. But our boy is unfazed, knowing the dragon fruit power-up made this an easy win. His display of power ignites the crowd, who now clamor for their own chance to fight him. A manic grin spreads across Han Jae-woo's face. He's having the time of his life. He mockingly asks the crowd to form an orderly queue for their beatdown. One by one, they fall to his intermediate swordsmanship, his fame growing with each win. He even busts out the monster binding technique, which is just plain disrespectful. And for good measure, he throws in a devastating headbutt, just because he can. Finally, a senior mercenary steps in, calling the others pathetic for losing to a rookie. The man, identified as Charlotte, declares he'll be Han Jae-woo's next opponent. But as he faces him, Charlotte senses an unnatural power radiating from the kid. Seeing his chance, Han Jae-woo puts on a show of panic, screaming that he needs to log out. He feigns utter shock when he realizes the log out button doesn't work in this death game. He begs for just a 1-minute break, sarcastically thanking Aquila for his predicament. But Charlotte refuses, his expression promising there will be no mercy for the rookie. Han Jae-woo looks down, sighing as if he's accepted his cursed fate. But the act drops in an instant, his eyes burning with resolve to end this fight properly. He grabs his opponent, preparing to unleash a technique no one saw coming. With a powerful heave, he executes a monster slam, a move straight out of pro wrestling. The senior mercenary crashes into the ground, the impact shattering the training yard floor. Charlotte can only stare blankly at the sky, completely knocked out by the unexpected move. Han Jae-woo catches his breath as the system confirms his victory and a boost in fame. Reeves and the others can only watch in disbelief, stunned that even Charlotte has been defeated. The mercenaries are in awe, calling him a monster for taking down their senior. But their awe quickly turns to excitement and they mob him for another fight. Just then Reeves steps in, his presence alone enough to silence the entire yard. He pats Han Jae-woo on the head, who mistakes the gesture for genuine concern. But Reeves just grins, pointing at him with a grand declaration of his own. And just like that, Valor is the new and very confused group leader. The scene cuts to a grim, rain-soaked battlefield, arrows filling the sky. Han Jae-woo finds himself in full armor, looking completely out of his element. The system confirms his mercenary quest is complete, immediately issuing a new one: war. A quick trivia note reveals the man he just beat is the brother of a tavern waitress. Small world. The city of Frankfurt is on edge, with the Prince-Elector's forces in a standoff. Two massive armies face each other across a desolate battlefield ready for war. With a deafening roar, the commander gives the order to charge forward. A wall of steel and fury surges across the plains, a tide of charging soldiers. Their opponents are a savage horde of orcs, the vanguard of the Demon King's army. Han Jae-woo is already in the thick of it, dodging and weaving through the chaos. He grits his teeth, now a soldier fighting on the side of the Prince-Elector. Back in the briefing room, Reeves lays out the stakes against the Demon King's army. Their mission, he explains with a grin, is a simple one: steal the enemy's flag. The plan is to break the enemy formation, slip through the gap, and collapse their lines. Sounds easy enough. Reeves warns that the orcs are not just strong, but tactically brilliant. And with a grin, he singles out his newest group leader, Valor. His job? To personally stop the enemy's spear unit in its tracks. Han Jae-woo dodges a storm of spear thrusts, his focus absolute. But internally, he's screaming, questioning this sudden promotion to the front lines. He cuts down another orc, thinking this whole situation is absurd. His only plan was to get a little credit and then get the hell out of there. So much for that. Meanwhile, in the orc command tent, a soldier brings dire news to his captain. The captain is furious, refusing to believe his elite spearmen could be failing. But on the battlefield, Han Jae-woo is already disarming one, taking its weapon for himself. From his vantage point, the orc captain surveys the human forces. But what he sees through his spyglass makes him question his own eyes. Because Han Jae-woo and his squad are charging like a pack of madmen. Led by Reeves, their only strategy seems to be pure, unadulterated chaos. The orc captain breaks into a cold sweat, realizing this isn't a normal attack. He quickly orders his musketeers to form ranks and open fire. The volley of shots hammers against their shields, chipping away at their durability. But Han Jae-woo just smirks, knowing the fatal flaw of their single-shot weapons. As the first rank reloads, he knows this is the perfect moment to strike. With a powerful leap, he vaults over the shields, diving straight into the enemy line. He leads the charge with a feral cry, ready to tear the enemy apart. The orc captain can't believe his elite soldiers are being routed by this one human. He calls them inhuman monsters, vowing to protect his objective at all costs. He makes his last stand, guarding the flag that represents his tribe's entire history. But Han Jae-woo and his men are relentless, crashing against his final defense. In a flurry of steel and desperation, the orc's banner is finally torn down. Han Jae-woo raises the captured flag, a system notification confirming his victory. But just as he celebrates, the sound of a horn echoes across the battlefield. A soldier rushes to him with dire news, his face a mask of pure panic. The tactical map reveals the horrifying truth: their allies are retreating. Well, so much for a clean victory. The soldier screams that orc reinforcements have arrived, a fresh wave of enemies cresting the hill. Han Jae-woo grits his teeth in fury, unable to believe his allies would run now. One of his men panics, asking if they should drop the flag and flee with the others. the soldier stammers, trying to explain the gravity of their situation. They are completely cut off, a ring of steel closing in from all sides. A hidden boss appears, the Orc Grand General Calone, who declares the fight is over. With glowing red eyes, he addresses the small band of trapped human warriors. He offers them a chance to live if they return the flag and retreat immediately. But Hanju threatens to put their sacred flag in a very, very personal place. The general is absolutely horrified, his rage boiling over at the sheer disrespect. He doubles down, threatening to desecrate their flag if it means victory. The orcs are stunned into a furious silence by his sheer audacity. The general's eye glows with a murderous, unholy light. In response, Calone orders his men to fire upon the trapped humans. With a single command, he unleashes a storm of steel. The volley of spears hammers against their shields, a relentless barrage. A system window confirms his intimidation has failed. This isn't going according to plan. For the first time, Hanju realizes he's miscalculated badly. His men are being pushed back, their defenses shattering under the assault. One of his soldiers screams that bringing a boss to a mob fight is just cheating. You know, he's not wrong. He knows he's not strong enough to face a boss of this caliber. Panic sets in as he desperately searches for a way out of this trap. His mind flashes back to his old life, when he was a hero leading a party. He remembers the confidence he once had, a power he no longer possesses. Then, he remembers the smug face of the game master who trapped him here. Akila's chilling promise echoes in his mind. Death in the game means death for real. The sheer terror of his situation finally hits him with its full weight. But his men snap him out of it, begging their new leader for a plan. And in that moment, the fear is replaced by a sudden manic grin. He erupts into laughter, leaving his soldiers to wonder if he's completely cracked. He screams for Charlotte to hand him the trumpet, a desperate plan forming. One of his men loses hope, but Hanju tells him to shut up and watch. With the horn to his lips, he prepares to sound a charge of his own. But the tide of orcs continues to surge forward, an unstoppable green wave. A soldier points out he's facing the wrong way, but Jaewu tells him to just hold the line. He grins, sending a silent prayer to Aquila, reminding her not to abandon him now. After all, he screams to the heavens, he's still her #1 VIP. The orc general roars in fury, ordering his spearmen to crush the insolent human. A massive orc looms over him, its spear poised for a final devastating blow. Calone declares him the archenemy of the orc nation. You know, for a rookie, he's making quite the impression. The spear tip descends, but Hanju meets it with a terrifying grin. Before the blow can land, the orc is sent flying by a golden blur. A figure on horseback soars over the battlefield, a savior from the heavens. It's Dame Valpergus, crashing into the orc ranks like a meteor. Her steed lands with the force of a thunderclap, scattering the enemy. She rallies the wavering soldiers, her voice a command not to give up. With her sword raised high, she inspires them to fight on. A system note explains the orc flag's sacred history. You know, just to clarify why the general was so mad. The orc general Calone holds his army back, his eyes fixed on the newcomer. He declares this a noble duel between himself and the Countess Valpergus. From behind her helmet, Valpergus acknowledges Hanju's bravery. With her praise delivered, she leaps into battle against the orc general. Their swords clash in a shower of sparks, the duel officially underway. Hanju can only watch, amazed by her strength so early in the story. Calone brings his massive blade down, a blow meant to shatter bone. The general's eyes glow with a furious red light, his full power unleashed. But Valpergus is a blur of motion, countering with a swift, powerful kick. She follows up with a devastating punch, striking him square in the jaw. The general stumbles back, not in pain, but with a delighted manic grin. He praises her incredible skill, clearly impressed by her combat prowess. The orc general recognizes her as a knight of Valpergus' holy order. He scoffs at her faith, his red eyes glowing with a sinister amusement. But Valpergus has no time for talk, declaring their duel will be a swift one. Calone unleashes a devastating swing, his blade cutting through the air. She parries the blow with impossible strength, their swords meeting in a flash of light. The general's grin widens, clearly relishing the thrill of a worthy opponent. He brings his weapon down in a crushing overhead strike, meant to end it all. But Valpergus leaps into the sky, a graceful silhouette against the sun. The two warriors are locked in a perfect, deadly stalemate on the battlefield. With the fight decided, she walks away, leaving the wounded general to admit defeat. The orc general lies defeated, his army stunned by Valpergus's overwhelming power. With their leader fallen, the orc forces sound a full retreat across the battlefield. Han Jae-woo is in disbelief, realizing she took down a powerful boss in a single blow. He can only marvel at her strength, confirming she's as legendary as he remembers. The entire orc army flees, a testament to the sheer terror one knight can inspire. With the battle won, Valpergus turns her attention to the mercenary who held the line. She introduces herself, offering a hand in respect for his incredible bravery. He accepts, giving his now famous alias, Valorstead Valor. Still rolls right off the tongue. The system dings, confirming he's officially earned the respect of a guardian.
He offers his sincere thanks, admitting they would have been wiped out without her.
Valpergus asks why he looks so down, but Han Jae-woo is lost in thought, regretting his recklessness. He's snapped back to reality by her question, surprised by her directness. But his men interrupt, cheering for the group leader who led them through the fire. They present him with the captured orc flag, a trophy of their impossible victory. The system confirms his reputation has grown, a direct result of his insane gamble. His actions have lit a fire under the other mercenaries, who now train with renewed purpose. The entire camp is filled with the sound of clashing steel, their morale completely transformed. Han Jae-woo roars, caught up in the infectious energy of his fellow soldiers. One of his men approaches, a look of dawning realization on his face. And our boy just laughs, a wild, triumphant cry of a man who's found his place. Guess he's a people person now. He holds the flag high, declaring it his prize as Valpergus watches on. His men try to snap him out of his battle high, wondering if he's completely lost his mind. The scene shifts to a quiet tavern, a place of rest after the chaos of war. Suddenly, a young girl bursts through the doors screaming Charlotte's name. Her eyes, one red and one blue, are wide with panic and concern. She finds Charlotte at a table, bandaged but enjoying a hearty meal with Han Jae-woo. The girl rushes to his side, frantically checking him for injuries from the battle. Han Jae-woo is baffled when he learns the hulking mercenary is only 15 years old. The girl is introduced as Baptiste, Charlotte's fiercely protective younger sister. She then turns on Han Jae-woo, demanding he pay for her brother's injuries, and the system confirms our boy is officially confused. But Charlotte quickly defends him, telling his sister that valor is the only reason they survived. The entire tavern erupts in agreement, chanting their new leader's name with unwavering loyalty. Han Jae-woo tries to brush off the praise, but he's clearly enjoying his newfound fame. The mercenaries find his embarrassment endearing, teasing him for being so unexpectedly cute. Their celebration is cut short, however, by the arrival of a fully armored knight. Han Jae-woo is too busy soaking in the adoration to notice their very important guest. The tavern falls silent as they recognize the imposing figure of Countess Valpergus. Sometime later, Valpergus leads Han Jae-woo on horseback through the bustling military base. She reveals he's been summoned by the Prince-Elector himself to receive military honors. As they ride on, he notes that this Valpergus seems far more cheerful than the one from his past. She offers him a sign of friendship, but he keeps his formal distance. She points out the tangible results of his bravery, the soldiers he saved. Her words force him to see his actions in a new, more heroic light. But this triggers a memory of a past failure, a time he couldn't save her. He remembers the helplessness of watching her fall in another life. He observes that despite the new timeline, her spirit remains unchanged. The only thing that's different, he realizes, is their relationship. He accepts his new role as they approach the Prince-Elector's tent. Guess the VIP treatment has an expiration date. Valpergus announces his arrival, presenting him to the ruler of Paltz. The Prince-Elector finally speaks, addressing the now famous mercenary by his alias. The man introduces himself as Elector Steele, his council gathered around a war map. But his true name is Philip, and his eyes burn with an otherworldly blue flame. Han Jae-woo bows, feeling the crushing weight of a true guardian's presence. Philip smirks, having heard of the mercenary now called the Reaper of the Field. He praises Jae-woo's courage, but our boy just plays the part of a humble soldier. The Prince-Elector rewards his men, but gives Jae-woo a massive personal bonus. Han Jae-woo kneels, swearing his loyalty with a convincing display of gratitude. Philip asks if there's anything else he desires, and Jae-woo sees his opening. He asks for leave to take his men to a town called Wittenbeyer to rest. Though it's far from the front, Philip grants the request, even offering a wagon. Philip senses there's more on the mercenary's mind, asking if he has another request. Han Jae-woo admits that normally he would have simply accepted his reward and left. But his eyes gleam with a familiar, calculating light. He's not done yet. Valpergus watches from the side, intrigued by the rookie's unexpected boldness. He looks up, asking the ruler for permission to ask a question. Philip's eyes glow with power as he grants the request, curious to hear more. A confident smirk plays on Han Jae-woo's lips as he prepares to cross a line. He asks the Prince-Elector for his personal thoughts on the entire war. Just a light, casual question for a king. A system note confirms Philip's status as a guardian of humanity, a major figure in the Empire. The entire War Council falls silent, stunned by the sheer audacity of a common mercenary. Valpergus shifts uncomfortably, caught off guard by the sudden tension in the room. But Han Jae-woo just smirks, knowing he's playing the part of a simple mercenary perfectly. The Prince-Elector turns the question back on him, his gaze sharp and calculating. Jae-woo admits his perspective is limited, but explains there is one thing that worries him. A council member erupts in laughter, mocking the idea that a rookie could offer any real advice. The others join in, accusing him of acting on mere battlefield rumors. Philip remains silent, his expression unreadable as he allows the scene to unfold. But Valpergus steps forward, suggesting it would be wise to at least hear him out. An older councilman scoffs, questioning how a mere countess dares to interrupt. Someone clearly missed the memo on who she is. She calmly reminds him of her powerful lineage, demanding the respect she is owed. Han Jae-woo watches, realizing even the elector must respect Valpergus' authority. The councilman scoffs, but Philip waves him off, intrigued by the rookie's words. The Prince-Elector asks for his unvarnished assessment of the entire war. Han Jae-woo drops a bombshell, warning them of an impending enemy ambush. Philip remains calm, demanding to know the basis for such a bold claim. He explains it's based on the Demon King's well-known history of treachery. He recounts past battles where demonic hordes overwhelmed their enemies. He cites the war against the Kingdom of To 10 years prior as his first example, and the battle with Margrave Anhalt, where ambush tactics were also decisive. His eyes gleam with certainty as he prepares to connect the dots for them. He warns them not to overlook the Demon King's favorite strategy, betrayal. With a chilling tone, he asks if they've considered the obvious conclusion. He suggests the possibility that there is a traitor in their very midst. The Prince-Elector agrees, a sly smile playing on his lips. He leans back, mulling over the word caution with unsettling calm. His calm demeanor shatters, replaced by a predatory grin as he calls out the rookie's boldness. Valpergus suddenly grabs him, warning him to know his place. Guess she's not a fan of workplace drama. She tries to plead on his behalf, but Han Jae-woo cuts her off with a calm acceptance. He simply says he understands, turning to leave the tense situation behind. Valpergus is left flustered, caught between protocol and her concern for the rookie. He offers a final, formal apology for overstepping his bounds. With a calm expression, he turns to take his leave from the War Council. But once outside, his mind races, noting the elector's uncharacteristic arrogance. He realizes with dawning certainty that something in this timeline is fundamentally wrong. The dragon fruits appeared far too early, a major deviation from the script, and Valpergus' early arrival confirms it. This is not the game he remembers. As he walks through the camp, a voice calls out his name, breaking his concentration. He turns, his thoughts interrupted by the unexpected summons. It's Valpergus, out of breath from chasing him down across the camp. She beams, finally catching up to him with a look of pure, unadulterated relief. He's surprised by her speed, questioning how she caught up to him so quickly. She earnestly admits she ran all this way out of pure concern for him. Our boy can't help but find her chibi form adorable. Valpergus apologizes on the Prince-Elector's behalf for his harsh words. She offers to grant any wish he desires, a promise that leaves Han Jae-woo completely flustered. She boasts of her family's immense wealth, certain she can fulfill any request. His mind races with possibilities, from riches to fine clothes. A man's gotta have priorities. But then his greedy fantasy fades, replaced by a sudden brilliant idea. A familiar calculating smirk spreads across his face as a new plan takes shape. He asks for 2 simple items, a writing quill and a pistol, leaving Valpergus utterly confused. She insists this is a huge opportunity, but Han Jae-woo calmly tells her it's all he needs. He puts on a tearful performance, claiming his dream is to be a cavalryman. Valpergus questions his tears, but he insists they are the tears of a true man. Sure they are, buddy. His act works perfectly. She's moved by his apparent selflessness. Flustered, she quickly changes the subject, clearly affected by his display. She grabs his hand, eagerly pulling him along to grant his simple wishes. Han Jae-woo is caught off guard as she leads him away with surprising force. He can't hide his blush, completely flustered by her sudden closeness. The unexpected intimacy leaves him stunned, a rare crack in his calculated facade. Some time passes and the scene is set for the next major conflict. Two massive armies stand poised for battle, ready to decide the fate of Harfheim Hill. The Prince-Elector roars his challenge, vowing to end his rival Pisamut. On the other side, the demon lord Pesamut is thoroughly unimpressed. His subordinate confirms their forces are ready for the coming war. But the young demon questions his lord's plan to use the Hexax woman. He fears her cruelty, but Pesamut insists he has the situation under control. Just then, his ring glows, heralding the arrival of that very person. A woman's voice echoes from the ring, announcing her presence to her lord. A silhouetted figure appears, her cheerful energy clearly terrifying the other demons. Pesamut simply tells her to stay sharp, receiving a gleeful confirmation. You know it's bad when the demons are scared, but his expression reveals a deep, hidden concern about his new ally. The woman from the ring stands over a fallen soldier, asking her lord to go easy on her. Her demonic ally screams back, insisting she is the one who always goes too far. She just smiles, her expression a chilling mix of innocence and pure malice. She insists she always takes it easy, a claim the body at her feet would likely dispute. Her eyes glow with a sinister light, promising she'll never take things too far. Pesamut can only watch, his face a mask of deep regret and concern. Her words echo in his mind as his subordinate tries to snap him out of it. Meanwhile, Hanju rides through the night, a man on a mission. He's amazed by the horse's incredible speed, recalling the Prince-Elector's name. He realizes this is just a spare, a testament to the power of Valpergus' noble house. He reflects on Valpergus' generosity, noting she even gave him a potion worth a whole building. In the distance, an explosion signals that the battle has already begun. He realizes he's running out of time and needs to move quickly. He knows that even the mighty Prince-Elector is walking into a trap. He predicts that there's a very good chance that the proud ruler will be betrayed by his own men. The traitors, a portly knight and a horned demon, laugh at their perfect setup. And just as he predicted, Philip finds himself surrounded by his treacherous council. Family reunions are always so awkward. He demands answers from his own uncle, unable to comprehend such a blatant betrayal. But the old knight simply scoffs, telling the prince he's a fool who doesn't grasp reality. The uncle reveals he's allied with Pesamut to stop Philip's supposed rebellion. He frames the betrayal as an arrest, accusing the Prince-Elector of high treason. The old man leans in, a smug grin on his face as he waits for his words to sink in. His eyes glow with malice, enjoying the prince's dawning horror. Philip can only stare in disbelief, unable to process the sheer absurdity of the claim. The horned demon grinds his boot into Philip's face, mocking his defiance. He calls the proud ruler a lunatic, his contempt clear for all to see. With a sharp command, he orders his soldiers to restrain the fallen prince. Philip scrambles backward in a panic, his authority completely stripped away. Tears stream down his face as he pleads, his title now meaningless in the face of betrayal. The horned demon orders his men to silence the prince's pleas for mercy. But before they can act, Valpergus crashes the party with a devastating kick. The demon is sent flying as she lands, a one-woman rescue operation. She commands her loyal soldiers to get the Prince-Elector out of the kill zone. The traitors watch in fury as their prize is whisked away to safety. Pesamut calmly uses his ring, relaying the prince's escape route to a hidden ally. That ally, a woman named Hexax, is found casually tormenting one of her own soldiers. Pesamut orders her to get serious, and she gives a sing-song reply of obedience. With a sinister grin, she announces to her unseen pets that it's mealtime. Guess HR isn't a thing in the demon army. She unleashes a pack of monstrous hounds, ordering them to hunt down the fleeing prince. As he races through the forest, the trap is sprung from the cliffs above. Hanju finds himself surrounded by a pack of monstrous demonic hounds. He recognizes the signature move, muttering that of course it's zombie dogs. He knows her strategy, wear down the enemy before moving in for the final kill. One of the beasts lunges, its glowing red eyes fixed on its new target. But our boy cuts it down with ease, disgusted by such a cowardly tactic. He fires his pistol, declaring he knows Hexax's playbook all too well. Realizing this is just a small pack, he knows the rest went after the main target. But he doesn't care about the prince. His only mission is to save Valpergus. He spurs his horse on, knowing he's in a desperate race against time. Meanwhile, the Prince-Elector and Valpergus find themselves trapped in a sea of demonic hounds. They race through the forest, desperately trying to outrun the relentless pack. Philip realizes his mana is being suppressed, a treacherous gift from Pesamut. He grits his teeth, cursing the demon lord for such a cowardly, underhanded trick. One of the beasts breaks through their defense, lunging straight for the weakened prince. For a moment, the proud ruler can only watch in terror, completely defenseless. But Valpergus leaps into action, a blur of steel and righteous fury. She intercepts the hound with a devastating kick, sending it flying. Guess she doesn't skip leg day. Landing gracefully, she carves a path through the demonic horde with her blade. She turns to the stunned prince, who can only stammer his thanks for the save. She warns the prince that they've entered unexplored territory, a place where caution is paramount. But Philip can only stare in shock as the situation rapidly deteriorates. One of their loyal knights is swarmed by the hounds, her desperate pleas for help echoing through the woods. The Prince-Elector is frozen, completely powerless as his soldier is overwhelmed. Valpergus screams for him to hold on, promising she'll find a way to save them. But Philip just cries out her name, his royal composure completely gone. His terror then shifts to a cold, pragmatic suggestion. Just leave the knight behind. He argues that his life is far more important than that of a common soldier. Guess chivalry really is dead. Valpergus is horrified, questioning if this is truly the duty of a noble ruler. She grits her teeth in frustration, her ideals clashing with the prince's cowardice. Philip's mind flashes back to the war council, now filled with bitter regret. He realizes if he'd only listened to the mercenary, none of this would have happened. The prince now understands his arrogance was the cause of his own downfall. But his regret is cut short as a new enemy strikes Valpergus from behind. The woman known as Hexax descends with a manic grin, her blade crashing against the knight's armor. Valpergus is thrown from her horse, calling out to the prince as she falls. In that moment, her concern is met only by his abject terror. She lands hard, using the prince himself to cushion the blow. Guess he's useful for something after all. The impact sends them both tumbling to the ground in a chaotic heap. Lying defeated, the prince can only whisper that they are completely doomed. Philip looks back, realizing he's not fit to rule alongside someone so noble. Valpergus struggles, trying to remind him of his duty as a prince-elector. But Hexax cuts her off with a single dismissive word. She mocks them, claiming only the truly strong deserve such a powerful title. With a sinister smile, she addresses Valpergus with a shocking title, Sister. A quick trivia note confirms the Demon King's power and Philip's uncle's betrayal. Well, that explains a lot. Valpergus explodes in fury, demanding Hexax take back her words. The title of Prince-Elector is a sacred one, a symbol of immense responsibility. But Hexax is unfazed, ordering her men to continue the hunt for the prince. She leaves Valpergus with a chilling reminder of their shared noble bloodline. Hexax's red eyes gleam with a cruel, possessive light. Valpergus is stunned as Hexax mocks her for getting caught so easily. With a furious cry, Hexax sends the knight flying with a powerful kick. A sadistic grin spreads across her face as she presses her brutal attack. Valpergus can only stare in shock, completely caught off guard by the assault. Dark tendrils erupt from the shadows, binding the powerful knight in place. Hexax laughs, admitting she finds the sounds of her sister's suffering delightful. You know, just normal family stuff. She leaps through the air, lashing out with her shadowy whip. Valpergus is forced to her knees, struggling against the overwhelming power. Tears stream down her face as she calls out for the only one who might save her, Sir Valor. A memory flashes through his mind of a past self, certain he would find a way to survive. But that other him knew that for him, it was the end of the line. Back in the present, Hexax screams that her twisted game is far from over. She raises her whip, preparing to strike her helpless sister once more. But the sharp crack of a gunshot catches a horned demon completely by surprise. Hexax looks up just in time to see one of her hounds shot out of the air. The demonic beast crashes to the ground, its hunt brought to an abrupt end. Before she can react, a shadowy figure appears right behind her. Hanju delivers a devastating punch, connecting squarely with her jaw. The force of the blow sends the sadistic demon flying backward through the trees. He lands gracefully, standing as a silent guardian over the kneeling knight. Valpergus looks up, tears of relief streaming down her face as she whispers his name. He glances back, his hands still crackling with the residual energy of his attack. Through her tears, she looks at him with pure adoration, calling him the hero he is. But Hanju simply turns away, his expression grim and unreadable. With her savior here, Valpergus finally succumbs to her exhaustion and collapses. He moves in a flash, catching her just before she hits the forest floor. He holds the unconscious knight, while the prince continues his masterclass in helplessness. Hexax rises, realizing he killed her hound and ambushed her without a sound. Hanju glares back as she concludes he is no ordinary opponent. He raises his pistol, calling out Hexax by name with a look of pure contempt. She feigns ignorance, a smug grin on her face as she questions their connection. Han Jae-woo tells her to drop the act, his disgust for her clear on his face. Hexax mocks his weapon, admitting it has a longer range than her own. But she boasts that her whip is far faster than any bullet he can load. Without a word, Han Jae-woo's finger tightens on the trigger. She moves like lightning, her whip lashing out in a blur of dark energy. But he catches the whip mid-air, stopping her brutal assault cold. He grits his teeth, the sheer force of the blow straining his arm. Hexax is stunned for a moment, then pulls with a manic cry, trying to drag him in. Han Jae-woo digs in, refusing to yield an inch in their brutal tug-of-war. She yanks him closer, her sadistic grin widening as she draws blood. With a vicious crack, she smashes the whip's handle across his face. The blow sends him flying, tumbling backward through the dark forest. Hexax cackles, screaming that her twisted game has only just begun. But Han Jae-woo twists in midair, using the momentum to his advantage. He lands hard, digging his heels into the earth to anchor himself. With a mighty heave, he swings her through the air like a rag doll. Guess she didn't see that coming. He pulls himself along the whip, closing the distance as she tries to stop him. Her smug confidence shatters, replaced by the pure shock of being outplayed. Hexax can't believe it. Her whip skills are top-notch, yet he closed the distance. He raises his pistol, but she snarls, refusing to give him an easy shot. In a flash, he's right behind her, his presence a cold shock against her back. With a chilling grin, he reveals a hidden dagger, whispering a single word. Surprise. A wave of pure terror washes over her as she feels the cold steel find its mark. Han Jae-woo casually flicks the blood from his blade, the first wound landed. He smirks, asking how she likes the sharp taste of a dagger. Hexax clutches her face in agony, realizing she lost an eye focusing on the gun. You hate to see it. She grits her teeth in a panic, knowing she needs time to recover from the blow. With a desperate cry, she sprouts demonic wings, preparing for a hasty retreat. She apologizes sarcastically, claiming she's far too busy to stick around for this. But Han Jae-woo just taunts her, asking if she's running because she's scared. Hexax scoffs, declaring that she never engages in close-quarters combat anyway. He raises his pistol, calmly stating that today he's a long-range fighter. She laughs, certain she can easily dodge any bullets he fires into the air. Her demonic eye glows, focusing on her target with absolute confidence. But her perception shatters as his image blurs, her sense of distance completely gone. A flash of light and a spray of blood confirm his shot found its mark. The barrel of his pistol smokes, his calculated gamble having paid off perfectly. He smirks, noting that shooting down a bat is just so much more satisfying with a gun. The bullet finds its mark, tearing through her demonic wing. He stands over the fallen Hexax, holding her severed wing like a trophy. A greedy glint appears in his eyes as he wonders what loot she'll drop. But Hexax's demeanor suddenly shifts, her eyes filling with a strange light. She puts on a tearful display, asking if he's really going to kill her. Tears stream down her face in a desperate, last-ditch attempt to gain sympathy. But Han Jae-woo isn't buying it for a second, telling her to drop the act. Her pitiful expression shatters, replaced by pure, unadulterated rage. Guess that didn't work. With a final, merciless strike, he ends the fight for good. A system window confirms the kill. Hexax, an executive of the Demon King, is dead. A system window confirms the kill, listing an impressive haul of loot from the fallen demon. With the battle over, Han Jae-woo stands over the unconscious Valpergus, having collected his prize. He pulls out the potion she gave him earlier, realizing he'll need it now more than ever. It's a perfect healing potion, and he knows exactly who needs it most. With a look of grim determination, he prepares to use the life-saving item. Valpergus lies broken on the forest floor, a testament to Hexax's brutal assault. He makes a silent vow, promising that this time he will save her. A system note explains his victory was thanks to the dragon fruit and his experience. You know, plot armor is a heck of a drug. He stares at the perfect recovery potion, the key to turning this tragedy around. The item's description confirms its power, a complete restoration of the target's physical condition. He reads the potion's instructions, which come with a rather unhelpful warning. He quickly realizes that directly means he'll have to apply it to her skin. And that means getting the potion underneath all that heavy plate armor. Han Jae-woo tries to calm himself, insisting this is purely a medical procedure. He steels his resolve, trying to convince himself there's nothing indecent about this. Sure, buddy. We believe you. The scene shifts, reminding us of the man behind the alias Han Jae-woo. A flashback reveals his tragic past, starting with his father's death from illness. Soon after, his mother collapsed from overwork, leaving him utterly alone. By the age of 18, he had already lost everything he held dear. He was left to deal with the harsh realities of debt and desperation. At 22, he was a fixer, scolding a client for their sheer incompetence. The man nervously offers him an envelope, a small token for his troubles. Hanju counts the cash, confirming the payment is correct. He tells the man to use his money to pay off his debts, not on temporary fixes. But the client's excuses only earn him a look of pure, unadulterated disgust. The man insists his next in-game quest will earn him a massive payout. Jaewoo's interest is finally piqued when he sees the high-tech gaming pod. The client is stunned he's never heard of the game Guardian of Humanity. He describes a sprawling, open-world fantasy, a place of limitless freedom. And he's quick to mention its globally acclaimed female character designs. You know, for the plot. The client boasts that the game has over 1 billion players worldwide. He claims the top-ranked players earn millions with ease. You know, just a casual side hustle. Han Jae-woo is skeptical, but the man insists the money is real. He then eagerly offers Jae-woo a chance to try the game for himself. But Han Jae-woo initially turns him down, claiming he's too busy for games. Just then, however, he receives an unexpected message on his phone. The text informs him that his job for the day has been canceled. With his schedule suddenly free, he decides to log in on a whim. He's immediately struck by the game's incredible realism, marveling at the sky. The streets and the people feel so lifelike, it's almost unsettling. He questions if this is even a game, surrounded by the laughter of lifelike NPCs. His exploration leads him to a market stall, where a vendor eyes him curiously. The vendor makes a comment, almost as if he knows Jae-woo is a new player. Jae-woo is stunned by the detail, noting the man's face is indistinguishable from reality. His curiosity gets the better of him, earning a sharp rebuke from the vendor. The man shoos him away, but a system notification reminds him of in-game currency. A window confirms his starting funds, a meager 10 florins. A young boy eyes the fruit, but Jae-woo decides to save his money for now. But seeing the child's longing gaze seems to strike a chord within him. Guess his heart isn't made of stone after all. The boy's mother pulls him away, leaving Han Jae-woo alone with his thoughts. He gives in, asking the vendor for the price of a single apple. He hands the fruit to the boy, whose eyes light up with pure delight. The boy's parents are overjoyed, thanking him for his generosity. Han Jae-woo realizes 1 florin is worth an entire day's meal here. As they wave goodbye, he offers the boy a simple piece of advice. He waves back with a smile, the moment stirring up old memories. He remembers his own childhood, begging his mother for simple treats. A faint, nostalgic smile plays on his lips, a rare moment of peace. He walks away, admitting that this virtual world has a certain charm. Guess it's not all about the loot drops. And so, his occasional visits to the game began to grow more frequent. When the pressures of his real life became too much, the game was his only escape. He found a simple peace in completing quests, a satisfaction reality couldn't offer. The stress of his work as a fixer was a constant weight on his shoulders. But in the game, he could unleash all that frustration on any monster that crossed his path. He would recharge his spirit in the virtual world just to face his harsh reality again. It was a vicious cycle, escaping one battle only to face another, far grander one. Before he knew it, 5 years of in-game time had passed him by. One day, while enjoying a quiet moment, a voice called out his name. It was Valpergus, the legendary knight, who had heard rumors of his skill. She offers him a quest to hunt boars, a real challenge for a seasoned player. He smirks, asking if she's scared of a simple boar hunt. She scoffs, hoping his skills can match his overconfident attitude. But the target is no ordinary beast, it's a monstrous, hulking boar. With a single, effortless strike, Han Jae-woo fells the creature. Valpergus can only laugh, admitting he was too strong for her to even help. Impressed by his power, she offers him a permanent spot in her party. A system window confirms the official invitation from the legendary knight. But Han Jae-woo is skeptical, wondering if he's just being hired as cheap labor. She calls him out, asking if he has some serious trust issues. He admits that he does, which only seems to amuse the powerful paladin. She offers to recommend him as a knight of the Empire, a path he never considered. Han Jae-woo accepts instantly, guess he's tired of the mercenary life. The scene shifts to a massive celebration, the entire city chanting his name. On a balcony, the Prince-Elector marvels at how far the former mercenary has come. Philip asks him how it feels to be standing here as a hero. But Han Jae-woo humbly insists this achievement was never his alone. His companions are confused by his uncharacteristic modesty. Valpergus gestures to the crowd, reminding him of the peace he fought for. He looks out, a white dove flying past as he takes in the moment. These are his people now, the loyal citizens he helped to save. Valpergus stands as a symbol of justice, a knight in shining armor. The city celebrates the peace he helped forge, a new era dawning. Later, during a quiet moment, she admits he's truly something special. She's never met anyone with such unwavering dedication to their cause, and so she asks him a simple question. What is it that drives him? The memory fades, and back in the present, a bruised Han Jae-woo gives his answer. He loves this world. Valpergus laughs, charmed by his simple sincerity. He jokes about his aching face as she gets flustered about him removing her armor to heal her. It was a medical necessity, of course. Now on horseback, they ride toward the Valperga convent to announce her survival. She blushes, promising to repay a debt that goes far beyond simple gratitude. Han Jae-woo playfully considers what reward he'll ask for, much to Valpergus' embarrassment. As they ride, she promises the convent will reward him, but he continues his relentless teasing. They finally arrive at their destination, the magnificent Valperga convent. But they're met with resistance as a knight named Angela argues on their behalf. A stern figure in a nun's habit calmly states that the situation is unavoidable. The head nun declares the convent is on lockdown, and Sir Valor is not welcome. Guess they don't appreciate heroes dropping by unannounced. A quick lore drop explains how the game's advanced AI prevents players' brains from melting. The scene shifts to a quiet inn where Han Jae-woo has found temporary lodging. Inside, the atmosphere is calm, a stark contrast to the recent chaos. Lying in bed, he reflects on his thwarted plan to acquire the Heart of the Angel. He thinks of the Heart of the Angel, a legendary artifact from the Valperga convent. It's a sacred S-rank item, blessed by a goddess, with the power to grant its user a second life. Han Jae-woo groans in frustration. It's an item he absolutely must have for a future event. His planning is interrupted by a voice at the door. It's Valpergus, still in full armor. She apologizes for the humble accommodations, feeling responsible for her honored guest. She finds him lying on the bed and asks what he's doing, to which he simply replies, thinking. Valpergus tells him she has something serious and confidential to discuss. Guess nap time is officially over. She sits down, relieved that she has someone she can finally trust with her burden. With a look of grim determination, she prepares to reveal a terrible secret. She takes his hand, her voice low as she reveals the High Abbess has been corrupted by darkness. Han Jae-woo is confused, recalling he just met Abbess Angela at the gate. But Valpergus corrects him. Angela is the deputy, and the true High Abbess is Lady Margarita. The name sends a shockwave through Han Jae-woo's mind. He thought she was long dead. Valpergus' voice barely registers as he processes this massive deviation from the timeline. He remembers her legend, a warrior of unparalleled skill in the Empire's history. She was the one who single-handedly transformed the convent into a formidable military force. A determined, almost manic grin spreads across his face as he declares they must save her. He leaps to his feet with a sudden burst of energy, startling the armored knight. Valpergus is completely flustered by his passionate outburst. Guess she's not used to this much enthusiasm. He turns back to her, a confident smile on his face, confirming the mission. Save the corrupted High Abbess. He declares he knows darkness better than anyone, urging Valpergus to move immediately. The scene shifts to the Valperga convent, a Gothic fortress shrouded in rain. Valpergus questions his bold claim, wondering how he could know so much. But she quickly reaffirms her decision, her voice echoing with conviction. She argues that Sir Valor is a man worthy of their trust, at least this once. But Deputy Abbess Angela seems less than convinced by the passionate plea. She notes how much Valpergus has confided in him, the tension in the room palpable. Valpergus gives him an enthusiastic nudge, completely oblivious to his social anxiety. Angela's expression hardens as she reminds them this whole mess was caused by a traitor. She glares, questioning the wisdom of placing their faith in a complete outsider. Angela dismisses him entirely, ordering the guards to throw him out. With a single sharp word, she silences Valpergus' protest. The legendary knight can only bow her head, completely shut down by the abbess. But Han Jae-woo steps forward with a disarming smile, calming his flustered ally. Angela coldly tells him the High Abbess's condition is none of his concern. He just smirks, asking for a moment of her time to hear him out. Then he drops a name that changes everything, the Seven Demons Gospel. The deputy abbess is stunned, demanding to know how he's heard of the sacred text. Guess that wasn't on the public library's reading list. The book itself appears in a vision, bound in chains and radiating dark energy. Hanju explains it contains the full history of the seven-sealed demon kings. Angela's composure shatters, her face a mask of pure disbelief. She slams her fist down, demanding to know how he learned of the cursed book. But Hanju simply asks for her trust, confident he knows the way forward. His unnerving grin does little to calm the tense atmosphere in the room. The abbess finally relents, but on one condition: this secret dies with him. She leans in, her voice a low and dangerous warning. With a single flex of her hand, she shatters the stone table between them. She promises to bury him at the bottom of a river if he ever speaks of this again. Guess she's not a fan of loose lips. Now granted access, they walk through the convent, surrounded by imposing warrior nuns. Hanju is unnerved by their raw power and the overwhelming smell of intense training. Hanju admits to himself that he's never actually seen Margarita's face. His imagination, however, conjures a nun who can probably bench press a small car. Valpergus notices his sudden distress, but he quickly brushes it off. He asks if she aspires to that physique, relieved when she says her family disapproves. They finally arrive at a massive door, shrouded in a corrupt demonic energy. The deputy abbess warns him to steel his mind against the overwhelming darkness. She orders the other warrior nuns to wait outside, their faces grim and determined. With a final look of resolve, Angela announces she is opening the door. As she turns the handle, a violent wave of purple energy erupts from the chamber. The force slams into Hanju, a system window confirming he's taken mental damage. Hanju checks on Valpergus, who confirms she's protected by a divine blessing. A system window confirms his player status shields him from the mental assault. The deputy abbess presents the source of the corruption, the high abbess herself. But Hanju is frozen, his mind reeling from a sight he never expected. This isn't the muscle-bound warrior he imagined, but a figure of quiet, immense power. The legendary high abbess of the Valpergus convent is a young woman named Margarita, floating serenely in a storm of darkness. His expectations are so shattered he wonders if she was kidnapped. Guess his mental image was a little off. The deputy abbess begs him to be serious, her expression one of pure desperation. She explains they've tried everything they can, but all their efforts have failed. Angela tells him he is their last and only hope. The high abbess lies still, the dark corruption slowly consuming her. In her desperation, Angela grabs him, promising any reward if he can save her. Her grip is so strong he can barely breathe, forcing her to apologize for her outburst. Guess she doesn't know her own strength. Catching his breath, Hanju confirms that Margarita is in critical condition. Angela explains that as a priestess, her holy nature makes her even more vulnerable. He points to the black veins spreading up her neck as undeniable proof. But with a calm resolve, he assures them that there is still a way to save her. Angela immediately grabs him again, demanding he share the solution immediately. Wiping away her tears, the abbess waits for his answer, her hope renewed. Hanju takes a steadying breath, preparing to lay out his solution. He tells the deputy abbess that the method is surprisingly simple. The plan is to use the convent's most sacred holy relic on the high abbess. A lore drop explains the relic is the guardian of humanity, currently sealed by a demon king. He reiterates that the convent's treasure is the only way to save her. Angela remains silent, her stern gaze fixed on the mercenary before her. He specifies the item they need, the legendary Heart of the Angel. The abbess realizes his true plan, not to destroy the curse but to transfer it. He confirms it, explaining the curse is fatal to clerics, making him the perfect candidate. With a confident smirk, he declares himself the most qualified person for the job. You gotta admire the sales pitch. Hanju listens, a thoughtful expression on his face. But the deputy abbess flatly refuses, stating his method is forbidden. She relays a message from Margarita, who claimed the darkness as her own. The high abbess forbade any sacrifice, vowing to destroy the empire to protect them. Angela reminds him that this is a curse born of pure, unknown darkness. She questions how he could possibly survive something so incomprehensible. The abbess takes a deliberate step forward, her presence filling the room. She warns him that this curse will torment him for the rest of his days. Valpergus agrees, insisting there's no reason for him to sacrifice himself. But Hanju just smiles, suggesting he might be the best option they have. He argues he knows darkness, isn't vulnerable to it, and is a disposable outsider. The deputy abbess listens, her expression a mask of cold calculation. He pushes further with a sly grin, asking if she isn't tempted by his logic. Angela sighs, the immense pressure of the choice finally getting to her. She worries about the consequences, even as Valpergus screams her name in protest. With a heavy heart, she gives Sir Valor permission to proceed as he wishes. He's presented with the heart of the angel, a ring with the power to revive a soul. He sees this as the perfect chance to make the legendary Margarita a powerful ally. Valpergus pleads with him, trying to stop him from making the ultimate sacrifice. But Angela holds her back, telling her to simply watch the man make his choice. With the heart of the angel on his finger, Han Jae-woo declares he is ready to begin. His eyes narrow with focus as he prepares to absorb the ancient curse. He gently places his hand on Margarita's head, initiating the ritual. The ancient words of the incantation echo in the silent chamber. A wave of dark energy erupts from the high abbus, flowing directly into him. Valpergus and Angela can only watch in horror as the transfer begins. The room is consumed by violent tendrils of pure, corrupting darkness. Han Jae-woo is suddenly transported to a vast cosmic void. So this is what's inside a cursed item. Cozy. He finds himself lost in the realm of darkness, unable to find his bearings. A booming voice calls out, demanding to know who dared to summon the being in the grave. Han Jae-woo stands defiant, announcing his name and demanding the curse be lifted. The voice scoffs, mocking the mortal who can't even comprehend its true form. He's unnerved by the entity's immense presence, which dismisses him entirely. A colossal demonic eye opens in the void, ordering him to leave its sight. But a system window appears, confirming his player status grants him protection. The ancient being is stunned, unable to understand why it can't claim his soul. Han Jae-woo roars back, repeating his demand to take the curse upon himself. The entity issues a chilling threat: reveal his identity or it will destroy every soul he's ever met. Realizing it's resorting to hostages, Han Jae-woo decides to fight fire with fire, a classic villain move. He plays his trump card, revealing he's read the Forbidden Seven Demons Gospel. He claims he got the book from a being called Thrashing Death, a deal that cost him his dog. He continues the lie, suggesting this mysterious figure is selling secrets to anyone who'll listen. He taunts the entity, threatening to expose everything if it doesn't play along. The ancient being finally relents, and Han Jae-woo's risky gambit pays off. But the entity has one condition, which is exactly what our boy was hoping for. Back in a more solid realm, a system notification chimes in front of him. A new quest appears. Hunt down all the demon kings backed by Thrashing Death. The list includes 4 powerful demon lords, confirming the entity has taken the bait. He feigns weakness, claiming the task is too much for a simple mortal like him. The entity scoffs at his pathetic act but offers him power, daring him to take it. The entity bestows upon him the raw, untamed power of darkness. Han Jae-woo screams in agony, realizing this gift is trying to kill him. The voice reminds him that nothing is free, and this power comes with a price. He grits his teeth, fighting to withstand the overwhelming energy. Through the pain, he roars a defiant promise of what's to come. A system window confirms he's earned the title Cold-Blooded One. Well, that sounds friendly. Another notification promises a drastic increase in all his stats. His health and mana pools are both significantly expanded. A brand new stat is unlocked, the very power of darkness itself. And to top it all off, he's about to receive a new S-rank skill. The system confirms his new S-rank skill, Undead Summon. But the power is too much, and a familiar red screen delivers the bad news. Well, that was a short-lived power trip. The world outside the convent remains peaceful, unaware of the life or death struggle within. Han Jae-woo jolts awake, gasping for air, the terror of the void still fresh in his mind. He sits up in his bed at the inn, his mind struggling to accept that he's still alive. The heart of the angel on his finger glows, a silent confirmation that it saved his life. He rises, the weight of his ordeal and his newfound power settling upon him. A slow, manic grin spreads across his face, the darkness he absorbed now a part of him. He sees his future, a king of necromancy, commanding legions of the undead and even death dragons. He is reborn, a new power in his hands and a new title to his name, the Cold-Blooded One. He stands triumphant in his mind, declaring himself #1 among a billion players. A manic grin spreads across his face, certain the world will finally recognize his power. But his grand vision shatters as he finds himself on the floor, looking up at Valpergus. She rushes to his side, tears in her eyes, asking if he's completely lost his mind. She explains he collapsed after the ritual, so she brought him to her quarters to recover. She sits beside him, her voice trembling as she scolds him for his reckless sacrifice. Her armored hands clench tightly, a clear sign of how worried she truly was. Han Jae-woo looks on, finally realizing the depth of her concern for him. He reaches out, placing a comforting hand on her armored leg. Guess personal space isn't a thing when you've just saved the world. With a charming smile, he apologizes, promising he won't worry her like that again. Valpergus is completely flustered by his sincerity, steam practically rising from her helmet. She leans in close, demanding he hold true to his word. The two stand in a rare moment of peace, looking out the window. But their quiet is shattered by a violent tremor that shakes the entire convent. Hanju immediately wonders if a war has just broken out. Valpergus stammers, trying to explain that the situation is far stranger than that. They rush outside to find the other nuns staring in shock at the disturbance. Deputy Abbess Angela turns, her face etched with concern as she greets Sir Valor. He surveys a forest of snapped trees, asking if a demon lord did some landscaping. But his sarcasm fades as he sees a colossal pillar of dark energy dominating the horizon. A voice greets him as a colossal, tree-like hand rests on the ground before them. The voice explains it was just stretching after a long rest, thanking Hanju for saving it. The massive being then introduces itself as the true High Abbess of the Valperga convent. In a flash of light, the giant figure shrinks down, landing gracefully on the ground. She reveals her true form, the legendary High Abbess Margarita. With a playful wink, she tells him to just call her Mari. Guess High Abbess is too formal. A trivia note explains the curse came from a cosmic being, the Lord of Darkness. The scene shifts, showing Hanju walking up a stone staircase with a white-haired man. His thoughts turn to Prince Philip, certain the coward has already fled the forest. He reflects on his new power, planning to use his necromancer skills to secretly kill the prince. Guess hero is just a part-time gig. But he knows the heart of the angel makes the prince a difficult target for now. His dark thoughts are interrupted by Margarita, who is ecstatically ready for an adventure. Angela tries to rein her in, but the High Abbess dismisses decency as a noble's problem. He whispers to Valpergus, who confirms this is just Margarita's standard operating procedure. But their quiet conversation does not go unnoticed by the sharp-eyed abbess. Valpergus explains that this child is the strongest warrior in the entire convent. Margarita suddenly appears, playfully accusing them of sneaking off for a private moment. Hanju, ever the smooth operator, just plays along with a charming smile. She leads them through the convent, arriving at the entrance to an underground storage area. Inside is an armory of magical tools, which she declares is perfect for someone like him. Guess the welcome basket comes with cursed weapons. Margarita holds his hand, playfully suggesting she'd even go on a date with him. Valpergus's shock is cut short as Margarita assures them she's just kidding. Probably. With childlike excitement, the High Abbess rushes them toward the armory. The massive doors swing open, revealing a chamber bathed in a brilliant golden light. Hanju can't help but smile. So far, everything is going exactly according to plan. His next objective is clear: get stronger, and then the hunt for Prince Philip will begin. The scene cuts away to a stable, where a familiar-looking prince is preparing for a journey. He proudly shows off his new gear to his horse, a steed he affectionately calls Philly. Back in the armory, Hanju dons his own powerful new equipment, ready for the battles to come. As he prepares to leave, a horse offers him a friendly, if somewhat slobbery, farewell. But Valpergus appears, calling him out for trying to leave without a word. She asks him to join her for one final walk before he departs. The two walk side by side, their footsteps echoing in the quiet morning. She admits that despite their short time together, it feels like an eternity. She recalls his bravery against the orcs and his showdown with Hexax, but he humbly insists that her own contributions were just as vital. The legendary knight is touched by his unexpected praise. Hanju is left speechless, a rare blush creeping up his neck. She notes his lack of curiosity, asking if he's really not going to ask. Guess subtlety isn't her strong suit. With a blush of her own, she tells him to stop playing dumb. She finally asks if he's curious about the face beneath her helmet. Hanju admits he figured she had her reasons for keeping it hidden. He respected her privacy, so he never felt the need to ask. She reveals the truth. She wears it to hide a large, cursed scar. It's a secret she's kept for years, a burden she's carried alone. Because of it, she's been cruelly nicknamed the Ugly Knight. But now, she asks him to be the one to finally see her true face. She trusts him, believing he'll see past any flaw to the person within. Hanju can only watch, completely flustered, as she removes her helm. She asks if he thinks she's ugly. Yeah, a real monster. You hate to see it. Her eyes are filled with nervous anticipation as she waits for his reaction. For the first time, the cold-blooded fixer is at a complete loss for words. She urges him to say something, anything, to break the heavy silence. He finally blurts out that she's beautiful, much to her immense relief. Even the horse seems impressed. He realizes this moment is entirely new, a deviation from every timeline he's ever known. With newfound confidence, she tells him she has something she wants to give him. She presents a priceless family heirloom, a treasure from the House of Bayern. She calls it a token, a promise that she will always be by his side. Hanju is visibly moved, the weight of her trust settling in his hand. It's a reminder that no matter where his journey takes him, he won't be alone. Flustered but sincere, Hanju promises to treasure her gift always. Valpergus accepts his vow, her own face flushed with emotion. The moment breaks into an awkward farewell as he wishes her good fortune. He then insists she leave first, a polite gesture that quickly becomes a debate. The two go back and forth, much to the visible annoyance of the nearby horse. He continues to insist, trying to be the perfect gentleman, but she's just as stubborn, refusing to leave before him. A system window confirms he's unlocked a hidden story about her noble bloodline, and another notification confirms the Valpergus romance route is now open. Guess the game ships it too. As night falls, a quiet laugh echoes through the forest, our boy clearly pleased with himself. Even the horse seems unimpressed by his sudden romantic musings. Hanju is already thinking about marriage after unlocking the romance route, but his pleasant thoughts are cut short as his expression turns grim. He rides into a clearing, his good mood ruined by a field of bodies. He assesses the carnage, noting the signs of a fierce struggle. It seems Prince Philip's men are in no condition to continue their journey. You don't say. Hanju draws his blade, its edge glinting in the dim light. With his target still missing, he spurs his horse onward to search the area. A system window suddenly appears, confirming a new skill has been unlocked. A wicked grin spreads across his face. This hunt just got a lot more interesting. He activates his new skill, channeling the raw power of darkness through his blade. With a dark incantation, he summons an army of vampires from the fallen soldiers. His new minions bow in unison, pledging their undying loyalty to their lord. He singles out one of his new followers, giving her a direct command. With a sinister grin, he orders them to gather the uniforms of the dead. He knows these disguises will be the perfect tool for his infiltration. The scene shifts to a nearby town, where the wind howls through empty streets. Inside, Prince Philip and his remaining guards catch their breath, exhausted from the escape. The prince seethes with rage, blaming his rivals for this humiliating defeat. Guess he's not a fan of self-reflection. But his rant is cut short as a disguised vampire snatches his bag, creating the perfect diversion. Prince Philip grits his teeth, his rage barely contained. A voice calls out his name, echoing through the desolate streets. A lone figure emerges from the shadows, reintroducing himself as the mercenary. He announces his name, Valorstead Valor, a chilling smile playing on his lips. The prince is thrilled to see him, while his guards have a much healthier sense of self-preservation. But Philip silences their warnings with a brutal strike, enraged by their cowardice. He berates his men for their incompetence while this hero has come to save him. His guards can only stare in fear as he calls them pathetic worms. He then threatens to demote them all, making them serve under the mercenary. But his tirade is cut short by a sudden, blindingly fast movement. Prince Philip falls to his knees, calling out for the hero he thinks has arrived. But Hanju's smile is anything but heroic as his undead army surrounds him. The prince, completely oblivious, thanks him for bringing such reliable reinforcements. Yeah, reliable for someone. Hanju's grin widens as he calmly declines any future reward. In a flash, his disguised vampires tear through the prince's remaining guards. The prince can only watch in horror as the betrayal finally dawns on him. Hanju covers his face, barely containing his glee at the unfolding chaos. He reveals his true motive. The prince has simply outlived his usefulness. A quick note reminds us his new power is fueled by the convent's forbidden artifacts. Prince Philip's world shatters, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated terror. He can barely contain his laughter, savoring the prince's utter despair. He coldly informs the prince that his role in this story is officially over. The prince stands alone, surrounded by the dead and the undead. But Philip's arrogance remains, calling him a pup who doesn't fear a tiger. Guess he missed the part where the pup now has fangs. The realization finally hits him. He's been nurturing a viper in his own camp. Hanju leans into the insult, playfully promising to bite the hand that fed him. The prince's fury boils over, his composure completely shattered. He channels his power, preparing to unleash his signature sword art. A powerful crescent slash tears through the ranks of the undead. But for everyone he cuts down, more stand ready to take its place. Hanju watches, realizing his grunts alone won't be enough. He knows fighting like this will only waste his precious mana. With a sharp command, he orders his undead army to fall back. Prince Philip taunts him, asking if it hurts to see his minions die, but Hanju just smirks, claiming he's not so sentimental. The two warriors charge, their final confrontation about to begin. Their blades clash in a blur of steel, a dance of death in the ruined streets. Philip slams his hand on a stone well, preparing a new attack. He shatters the structure, sending a wave of debris flying forward. The prince turns the rubble into a storm of deadly projectiles. Guess he's a fan of improvised weapons. But Hanju is ready, preparing to face the prince's cherished sword style. He visualizes the technique, an elegant form with a deadly hidden counter. Prince Philip is known as the master of this style, the legendary Elector Steel. He roars in fury, vowing that Valorstead Valor will never live peacefully again. Hanju just smirks, reminding him that he's on very good terms with the nuns. But Philip scoffs, claiming he doesn't fear some militant religious group. Famous last words. Their blades glint in the moonlight as the two warriors prepare to clash again. The prince slams his foot down, cracking the stone beneath him with raw power. He unleashes his ultimate technique, the second form of the Lunar Shadow sword art. His eyes glow with intense focus, channeling all his energy into the attack. Hanju meets the prince's attack, his own blade glowing with dark power. The two warriors are locked in a desperate struggle, steel grinding against steel. But Philip's old injuries flare up, the internal damage finally taking its toll. Hanju's eyes burn with cold fury as he declares this little drama is over. He breaks the stalemate, driving his fist directly into the prince's chest. The blow sends Philip reeling, coughing up a spray of dark energy. With a chilling grin, Hanju tells him the nuns were never the real threat. The prince collapses, cursing his weakened body for failing him now. Guess he should have hit the gym more. He screams in disbelief, demanding to know why his loyal dog is biting back. Hanju's expression darkens as he offers to explain the prince's many, many mistakes. He begins to list the prince's failures, starting with his foolish pride. Second, he calls out Philip for casting aside his most loyal knight, Valpergus. And third, he twists the blade, reminding him of all the lives lost to his arrogance. His eyes glow with cold fury as he questions if Philip is even worthy of his title. The prince's bravado shatters and he begins to plead for his life. He claims everything he did was for the people, a real man of the masses. He argues that his death will only plunge the region into a bloody war. Hanju listens, appearing to consider the prince's desperate logic. With a disarming smile, he offers the terrified noble a single chance. He presents a healing potion, but this mercy comes with a price. The prince desperately offers anything to save his own skin. Hanju pauses, letting the prince's desperation hang in the air. His condition is simple: get on your knees and beg Valpergus for forgiveness. Philip agrees instantly, even offering a hefty donation to her house. Impressed by his spirit, Hanju offers him the entire bottle. The prince downs the potion without hesitation, desperate for a second chance. But the bottle shatters, its contents far from a simple healing draft. Hanju looms over him, asking if the medicine tastes good. Guess customer satisfaction isn't his priority. He reveals the truth: it's the poison of the venom dragon Ferguma. With his last breath, the prince can only curse the man who sealed his fate. Prince Philip chokes on his rage, refusing to accept his defeat. Hanju happily explains it's a special poison, courtesy of the late Hexax. Waste not, want not. With a final, desperate roar, the prince lunges forward for one last strike. But Hanju just smirks, not even bothering to raise his own blade. A loyal undead knight intercepts the blow, his form wreathed in dark energy. The prince's eyes widen in pure shock as he recognizes the face of his savior. He stammers the man's name, Piffenheim, unable to believe he's alive. Piffenheim recounts the day Philip left him for dead, a memory of brutal betrayal. But now he serves a new master, one who granted him a second chance at life. He tells the prince his arrogance was always his greatest weakness. Guess this is his exit interview. Piffenheim holds his blade to the prince's throat, declaring it's time to pay the price. Prince Philip's face is a mask of terror, tears and poison streaming down his chin. But a system window pops up asking if he'll allow his minion to kill the Guardian. Hanju hesitates, warned that this action could compromise the entire game's progression. The prince can only beg for his life as the cold steel presses against his skin. Han Jae-woo scoffs, weighing the risk of keeping this liability around. He makes his choice, ordering Piffenheim to finish the job without a second thought. With a single swift strike, the undead knight carries out his master's command. The system screams with errors, confirming the Guardian has been eliminated. Guess tech support is going to have a long night. But the chaos unlocks something new, a hidden scenario to kill all the Guardians. A new path opens, kill all the Guardians and become a Transcendent. Han Jae-woo stands amidst the system errors, amused by the sudden difficulty spike. A wicked grin spreads across his face, completely unfazed by the chaos he's unleashed. He taunts the system itself, certain that no one could have predicted this move. The world glitches, a red beacon marking the spot where the story was shattered. The perspective pulls back from the fantasy world to the vastness of outer space. A mysterious angelic figure watches from beyond, clearly entertained by the disruption. Her eyes glow with power, intrigued by the mortal who dared to defy the game's rules. She confirms he's broken a fundamental seal, calling out to her valor darling. On her screen, Han Jae-woo strikes a triumphant pose, and she notes how thrilled he is by it all. She challenges him to cause even more chaos for her entertainment. The mysterious observer bows to her monitor, declaring that this is only the beginning. A quick lore drop confirms Piffenheim's tragic backstory and his rebirth. As a reward, Han Jae-woo obtains the prince's S-rank sword art. Talk about adding insult to injury. He also unlocks a new A-rank skill, Princess in Corral, followed by the SS rank skill, Empire Agitation, and another SS rank skill, Mephistopheles' Acting. Well, he certainly earned that one. The rewards keep coming with Dignity of the Great Leader. Standing over the prince's body, Han Jae-woo marvels at his impressive loot. He grins, realizing he's also gained exclusive S-rank skills from leveling up. He inspects the loot, finding a small, ornate pouch among the spoils. At first glance, it seems like a simple magic bag, nothing special. But another item zaps him with a powerful barrier when he tries to open it. A system window confirms the obvious. Access has been denied. He sighs, realizing he'll need Margareta's help to unlock this one later. But then, his eyes catch another notification he'd missed in the chaos. He's obtained the essence of the Guardian, the first of 5 needed to become a Transcendent. But this power comes with a heavy price. Each kill weakens the world's seal against darkness. So, no pressure. Han Jae-woo processes this new world-altering information. He walks away from the carnage, knowing his hunt for the other Guardians must be handled with care. He weighs his options, become a Transcendent and stand alone, or find another path entirely, a future yet unwritten. His thoughts are interrupted by Piffenheim, who rushes in with exciting news. The undead knight presents a scroll, found among the prince's belongings. Han Jae-woo is ecstatic, certain this is the true reward for his efforts. He praises his loyal knight before asking about another, more subtle task. Piffenheim confirms they've disguised one of Philip's men as a demon, a perfect scapegoat. But their work is not quite finished as another loose end appears. A lone survivor from the prince's guard begs for his life, surrounded by the undead. Guess he didn't get the memo about the regime change. Piffenheim explains the man was hiding, asking his new lord what to do with him. Han Jae-woo considers the lone survivor, weighing the man's ultimate fate. Suddenly, a new, more devious plan clicks into place. The terrified guard begs for his life, promising to do anything to survive. A wicked, predatory grin spreads across Han Jae-woo's face. His eyes glow red as he sends a mental message to his next target, Pezamut. The scene shifts as a royal guard captain named Lawrence arrives with his troops. The white-haired captain surveys the scene, his expression grim and focused. He gives a confident wink, a flicker of personality beneath the stoic armor. Sir Lawrence raises a hand, ordering his units to halt amidst the bodies of the fallen. Guess the cleanup crew has arrived. A subordinate confirms the obvious. It seems the Padzamut forces were here. A soldier reports finding a survivor, and Lawrence orders him brought in for questioning. The royal guards immediately snap to attention, ready to obey. Later that night, the interrogation begins around a crackling campfire. Lawrence listens intently as the survivor confirms a valuable item was stolen. The guard recounts the fabricated story of being ambushed by Pezamut forces, but the captain cuts him off, questioning how he alone managed to survive. The terrified man stammers, sticking to the cowardly role he was given. With a sudden, violent motion, Lawrence slams his sword into the ground. He grits his teeth, feigning regret that he couldn't have arrived sooner. Then he grabs the man, praising him as a model knight for his sacrifice. Looks like someone else is a fan of method acting. He rallies his troops, holding up the terrified survivor as a shining example. He paints a picture of a hero who risked his life to protect his commander. He declares that though the battle was lost, their spirit remains unbroken. The poor guy looks like he's about to break. Inspired by this bravery, he orders his men to search for the prince all night. The soldiers roar their approval, while the unwilling hero begs for it to end. The scene shifts to the grand and opulent Rose-Rent Rose Palace. Inside a sun-drenched conservatory, a woman in a red dress waits patiently. Sir Lawrence kneels before her, announcing his return from the field. He reports that they pursued the Pesamut forces and found traces of Prince Philip, but he concludes that the prince has escaped, his location now completely unknown. The woman in red asks about a specific item Prince Philip was carrying. Lawrence sticks to the script, blaming the Pesamut forces for its theft. She calmly sips her tea, clearly growing tired of hearing that name. He begs for forgiveness, but she's focused solely on recovering the lost item. It's the only thing that can restore the prince's power, a fact that frustrates Lawrence. But she remains confident, certain that Prince Philip is not so easily killed. She gives him a new order: go to Pesamut and deliver a message. Oh, and she has horns. That's new. She is Roland, the Rose's demon king, and she wants her property back. Or else. The scene shifts to the Pesamut base, a fortified desert outpost. Inside, their leader is stunned by the news that the crazy woman has returned. A subordinate confirms the news, but the Pesamut leader refuses to believe it. He seethes, realizing the monstrous high abbess Margarita has returned. His subordinate questions her power, but the leader insists he doesn't understand the threat. He recalls the day she single-handedly slaughtered a demon lord and his entire army. He asks his terrified subordinate if he knows what triggered that legendary massacre. The reason for her rampage was simple. One of the demons stepped on her snack. You heard that right. From that day forward, she was known as Margarita, the Storm and Annihilation. Just then, a messenger bursts in with an urgent message from Demon King Roland. The Pesamut leader's patience is wearing thin as he demands to know what she wants. He snatches the message, already dreading whatever tantrum Roland is about to throw. The Pesamut leader trembles, the message from Roland shaking in his hands. He seethes with frustration, calling the Demon King of Roses a madwoman. His rage explodes as he demands to know why she thinks he has the stolen item. He throws a fit while his subordinates can only watch in terror. Guess he's not great at handling pressure. He explains that the lunatic is demanding something they simply don't possess. A younger demon considers the facts. They never got close to Philip and even lost Hexax. He connects the dots. Margarita's return and the item's disappearance are too coincidental. The subordinate's eyes widen as a terrifying possibility dawns on him. He wonders if some unseen mastermind is pulling all the strings. You don't say. The scene cuts back to Hanju, who lets out a triumphant roar. Hanju lets out a sudden sneeze, startling his poor horse. Someone must be talking about him. Piffenheim asks if he's feeling unwell, but Hanju simply brushes it off. The undead knight then asks about Prince Philip's body, which Hanju plans to use as a new servant. But for now, his focus is on the scroll he recovered from the prince's belongings. He declares that this is the most important prize of all. He unfurls the Golden Imperial Edict, a document that proves the authority of an elector. With Philip's body and the edict in his possession, he holds the keys to the kingdom. He calls out to his loyal knight, Piffenheim, who answers without a moment's hesitation. A wicked grin spreads across his face as the full scope of his plan comes together. The two ride off in triumph, with Hanju declaring the world is now his for the taking. A quick note confirms the defeat of Elector Steel Philip. Well, that's one problem solved. A lore drop explains the Golden Imperial Edict, the key to appointing the next emperor. The scene shifts to a merchant caravan traveling through a dark, lonely forest. The guild leader and his subordinates celebrate their profits from a recent blockade. As they plan their celebration, a hooded figure offers to show them the way. But the subordinate suddenly betrays his leader, driving a blade into his back. The young merchant recoils in shock, blood splattering across his face. The caravan is ambushed by a band of ruthless, black-clad marauders. The young merchant rallies his men, calling them to arms against the surprise attack. His guards draw their swords, clashing with the mysterious assailants in the woods. The merchant's guard desperately parries a blow from the hooded assailant. The attacker's leader grins, mocking them for the profits they made trading with Roland. The young merchant roars back, demanding to know if he realizes who this money is for. But the red-eyed marauder just readies his blade, his intentions clear. He easily disarms the merchant, asking why he should care about their business. The young man is sent flying back, completely overpowered by the sudden assault. He gasps in pain, the fight knocked out of him in an instant. The attacker stands over him, telling him to go cry to Valpergus if he has a problem. Well, that's a familiar name. His eyes glow with malice as he tells him to bring his uncle along as well. The scene shifts to a quiet room, where a blonde woman tends to the flustered merchant. The young merchant complains as Valpergus dabs at a cut on his cheek. She tells him to endure it, her expression softening as she asks how he was injured. But their quiet moment is shattered as Margarita bursts in, calling out for valor. The two are left blushing and speechless, caught completely off guard by her arrival. Margarita freezes, her mind struggling to process the unexpected scene before her. The realization hits her like a bolt of lightning. Valpergus has removed her helmet. Overcome with emotion, the high abbess slams her drink down in a fit of excitement. She playfully scolds Valpergus for nearly giving an old lady a heart attack, but she understands, musing that it's only natural for a woman to want to show her true self. Valpergus glances at the merchant, while he can only offer an awkward laugh in response. Margarita turns to Hanju, her tone suddenly deadly serious. She threatens to fold him in half if he ever hurts Valpergus. Guess she's the protective type. Her demeanor shifts again as she gets down to business, asking about Prince Philip. Hanju confirms the prince's death, gesturing to his friends handling the body. Margarita seems disappointed, wondering if this will create political fallout. But her disappointment quickly turns to rage. She wanted to be the one to kill him. Hanju awkwardly tries to smooth things over, suggesting it's for the best. He quickly changes the subject, leaning in to offer her a special gift. He presents several massive sacks of gold, spoils from the prince's forces. He tells her she can buy all the snacks she wants, a perfect appeal to her priorities. Margarita's eyes sparkle at the sight of the gold, asking if he's some kind of saint. She suddenly finds him incredibly handsome, much to his visible discomfort. Valpergus watches the exchange, a hint of curiosity on her face. But her attention shifts to the papers in his hand, asking what they are. He reveals they are letters between Philip and Roland, proof of a conspiracy. The letters confirm Roland was plotting to make Philip the next emperor. Margarita is surprised he's unaware of the current political climate. She explains the emperor has ordered a blockade, seizing goods from Roland's allies. This economic pressure is why House Ritter attacked the merchant guild. Margarita sighs, noting all this political chaos is stressing Valpergus out. Margarita suddenly looks flustered, realizing she's overshared in front of everyone. Hanju asks what's wrong, but the abbess just blushes, clutching the letters. Valpergus remains silent for a moment, taking in the awkward atmosphere. She then steps in, offering to explain the delicate situation to Margarita herself. The group takes a moment to let the heavy political news settle in the room. Hanju realizes he's walked into an incredibly tangled political mess. The Emperor's blockade has escalated into a full-blown conflict with the Elector of Bayern. Later, Hanju is startled as Valpergus calls out his name in a quiet room. She's prepared tea, asking him to forget the complicated politics he overheard. She insists this is her family's burden, not one he needs to carry. But Hanju refuses, insisting that if it involves her, he wants to help. Valpergus gently pushes back, explaining the situation has escalated beyond him. She admits she would feel too guilty accepting any more of his aid. Hanju listens, his expression unreadable as he processes her words. He knows she's a capable warrior, but he also sees her inexperience and soft heart. He reaches out, taking her hand with a newfound resolve. With a knowing smile, he agrees that this is far too big for a simple mercenary. Valpergus seems relieved, ready to ask him to stay out of it for his own good. But he rises to his feet, declaring that he still wants to be her strength. He flashes a charming grin, reminding her that mercenaries have their own uses. Valpergus offers a gentle laugh, thinking he's just trying to lighten the mood. But Hanju's confident smile suggests he's anything but joking. He tells her he's quite confident in his abilities to handle the situation. Valpergus is taken aback, unsure how to respond to his unwavering certainty. The scene shifts back to the grand halls of the Valperga convent. Hanju strides forward, his mind now set on a new course of action. He breaks into a run, rushing through the corridors with urgent purpose. The nuns can only watch as he sprints past a man on a mission. He bursts into a room, calling out for the one person who can help him. Margarita looks up from her snack hoard, surprised by his sudden intrusion. Guess business hours don't apply here. He presents the magically sealed pouch he took from Prince Philip's body. Margareta's eyes gleam with greed, completely captivated by the potential treasure. He offers her a deal. Open it now and the reward will be doubled. With a sly grin, he tempts her with a taste of the riches inside. She takes the bait, excitedly declaring she'll triple the reward instead. Guess she's not great at negotiating. A quick note explains Roland is the Demon King of the Rose, a pro-human leader. Margareta dives into a mountain of gold, while Han Jae-woo inspects a new item. He explains he's received an upgraded version of the magic pouch she just opened. With a simple gesture, he summons a water skin, testing his new power. Later, on horseback, he marvels at the new item, wondering if the game was updated. He takes a refreshing drink, appreciating the convenience of his new gear. But the water skin malfunctions, giving him an unexpected and forceful facial. His horse, Philly, suddenly comes to a halt, leaving him confused on the road. The steed seems less than thrilled, refusing to move another inch. Han Jae-woo looks up to see a massive crowd flooding the road ahead. His confusion quickly turns to disbelief at the sheer number of people. The scene transitions, showing a clear blue sky above the city of Pluzhen. After a long wait, he finally makes a grand, sparkling entrance into the city. He compares the grueling journey to waiting in line at an amusement park. Guess even fantasy worlds have queues. Inside, he finds the city as a massive festival dedicated to the Great One. Han Jae-woo takes in the bustling city, a nostalgic smile on his face. A quick lore drop explains this is Pluzhen, a city united under Demon King Cobalt. The citizens praise their leader for everything from good business to great skin. Talk about a cult of personality. Cobalt is a renowned unifier and a pro-human demon king, second only to Roland. Han Jae-woo knows this man is crucial to his plans. Meeting him is the top priority. But his thoughts are interrupted by an unexpected and cheerful greeting. A small, goblin-like local rushes up, immediately drawn to his powerful presence. The enthusiastic local admits he doesn't know him, but claims his aura is impossible to miss. Han Jae-woo realizes it's one of his new skills at work, dignity of the great leader. The SS rank skill passively boosts his charisma, making him stand out in any crowd. Guess blending in is officially off the table. Han Jae-woo smirks, realizing this new skill could be very useful for his meeting with Cobalt. The goblin is completely starstruck, gushing over the powerful aura of this remarkable stranger. He eagerly offers to guide Han Jae-woo, claiming he also has business with the city's leader. Han Jae-woo is left momentarily confused by the goblin's convenient offer. True to his word, the goblin leads him directly to the magnificent Cobalt Castle. They arrive at the doors of the Grand Reception Hall, the heart of the Demon King's domain. The goblin asks him to wait, promising that tea will be served shortly. A system window confirms his charisma skill has leveled up, thanks to his new #1 fan. Han Jae-woo quickly dismisses the thought, deciding to focus on the important task at hand. He glances at a nearby bust, noting the Demon King must be quite the narcissist. The goblin returns with tea, startling Han Jae-woo with his sudden appearance. Han Jae-woo asks for a little warning next time, but the goblin just shrugs it off. When asked his purpose, the goblin cheerfully announces he's here to register his marriage. He gushes about his loving relationship, much to Han Jae-woo's complete and utter confusion. Han Jae-woo notes that while the city worships the Great One, this goblin speaks of him with strange familiarity. His suspicion piqued, he decides to test his strange new guide. The goblin proudly displays a glowing ring, calling it proof of their union. A confident, almost predatory smile spreads across the goblin's face. He boasts that the ring cost him a decade's worth of salary. A worthy investment, apparently. Han Jae-woo just smirks, his own plan already forming as he takes a sip of tea. With a knowing smirk, Han Jae-woo calls out the goblin's impressive acting, addressing him as Cobalt. The goblin flinches, feigning confusion and pointing to the ring on his finger. But Han Jae-woo has already pieced it together, recognizing the legendary ruby ring. He continues, laying out the final, damning piece of evidence. His grin widens as he reveals the fatal flaw. No one calls themselves the Great One. Busted. Just as his intel suggested, the illusion begins to crumble. The goblin's form dissolves in a cloud of smoke, impressed by Han Jae-woo's sharp instincts. The disguise melts away, revealing the true ruler of Pluzhen, Demon King Cobalt. A system window confirms his identity, Cobalt, the Shadow King. Cobalt gets straight to the point, correctly guessing this visit is about Valpergus. Han Jae-woo explains he's here seeking information about Valpergus' situation. Cobalt sets down his cup, confirming he has the answers Han Jae-woo seeks. But as expected, the Demon King's help comes with a condition. Han Jae-woo isn't surprised, already aware of Cobalt's eccentric nature. He knows the Shadow King is a notorious information broker, a gossip hound of the highest order. His knowledge spans from military tactics to the best investment properties. Han Jae-woo leans back, his own expression turning just as sinister. He plays to the demon's ego, daring him to prove his legendary omniscience. Cobalt is visibly delighted, finding a kindred spirit in this audacious mortal. He lunges forward, demanding they become friends, and Han Jae-woo has little choice but to agree. Han Jae-woo is left completely speechless by the Demon King's sudden proposal. Cobalt explains that from the Hexax incident to his ties with a certain paladin, Han Jae-woo is now a person of interest. Our boy is immediately flustered, imagining a very different kind of closeness with Valpergus. The Shadow King smiles, noting that an alliance with him would be mutually beneficial. Han Jae-woo wonders how exactly he's supposed to prove this newfound friendship. As a first step, Cobalt offers him a small glowing token. It's a communication ring just for calling each other when they're bored. Han Jae-woo is not amused. He imagines Cobalt as a condescending teacher, a truly terrifying thought for any student. Cobalt admits he can't quite figure him out, and offers some information as a gift. With a snap of his fingers, the gossip-loving king has the perfect piece of intel to share. Han Jae-woo leans in, ready for the crucial piece of information. The Shadow King reveals the clue lies in the capital of Saxon. The scene shifts to the sprawling city of Dresden, his next destination. He arrives at a heavily guarded gate, his presence immediately noticed. The guards demand to know his identity, clearly not expecting visitors. But Han Jae-woo just smiles, activating his charisma-boosting skill. The sheer force of his aura sends the guards reeling in terror. He warns them not to stand in his way, his authority now undeniable. With a confident stride, he walks through the city, a man on a mission. His powerful presence turns heads, drawing the attention of everyone he passes. The citizens of Dresden fall to the ground, paralyzed by his overwhelming aura. With a single word, he commands them to move, and they can only obey. He arrives at his destination, the Velia Merchant Guild headquarters. Inside, the guild leader is alerted to an approaching presence of immense power. A terrified guild member confirms the visitor is just moments away. She flees in terror, unable to withstand the sheer force of his approach. The guild leader stands frozen as Han Jae-woo finally enters the room. He demands to know why such a powerful figure has come to his guild. Guess he didn't get the memo about the new VIP in town. Han Jae-woo simply gestures, his confidence radiating through the room. With a predatory grin, he announces he's here to make a deal. A quick profile confirms Cobalt is a pro-human demon king with an unmatched intelligence network. Han Jae-woo asks if the clue is located in the city of Dresden. The Shadow King confirms, adding that the Velia Merchant Guild and Ritter Knights are based there. He reveals the two are locked in a massive debtor-creditor relationship. The revelation hits Han Jae-woo, a crucial piece of the puzzle clicking into place. He's genuinely impressed, realizing Cobalt's reputation is no exaggeration. The Demon King smirks, having completely outmaneuvered him in this game of information. His network spans the entire continent, earning him the title of the Shadow King. Guess he's the fantasy world's best private investigator. Cobalt notes his satisfaction, but teases that there's one more detail to share. Han Jae-woo leans in, hanging on every word as the Demon King prepares his final reveal. The guild leader stands over a bed, his expression heavy with grief. He introduces the ailing young woman as his daughter, Marin. He explains that though she lies helpless in bed now, she was once a bright and healthy child, full of life. But a mysterious illness took hold, draining her strength until she couldn't even eat. This tragic turn of events has led them to their current, desperate situation. He's summoned every renowned doctor on the continent, but none could find a cure. He collapses in despair, certain he's about to lose her forever. But Han Jae-woo grabs him, feigning outrage and insisting there must be a way. Looks like he's gunning for an acting award. The desperate father can only beg him to bring back his daughter's smile. He tells the man to drop the formalities, introducing himself simply as Valor. But the man's grief-fueled bad breath is a bit much, even for our hero. He takes a moment to recover before getting back to the matter at hand. He approaches the bed, confirming the girl's condition is indeed critical. He notes her reduced muscle mass and a persistent low-grade fever. This is clearly no ordinary illness. Conventional medicine won't work. But he turns back to the father, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. The desperate father hangs on his every word, begging for the answer. Han Jae-woo reveals the cure, an elixir from a place called Gross Glockner. The guild leader's hope instantly turns to dread at the mention of that name. The guild leader collapses, realizing the mission is practically a death sentence. He knows the saying, returning from Gross Glockner is just a fantasy. The place is the demonic dragon canyon, a massive chasm in the Empire's southeast. It's the domain of the demonic dragon, Schwarze Teufel. One of the last ancient dragons, its power is said to be beyond measure. A beast so mighty that even demon kings dare not challenge it. And if the dragon wasn't enough, the canyon is crawling with demon beasts. It's a place of certain death, a hopeless challenge for any normal person. But Han Jae-woo just smirks because he is anything but normal. The guild leader grabs his arm, his last shred of hope resting on this stranger. With a reassuring smile, Han Jae-woo tells the man not to worry. He'll go. The guild leader is overcome with emotion, completely stunned by this stranger's offer. Han Jae-woo's confidence shines, his charisma skill working at full power. A system window confirms his Mephistopheles' acting skill is active. Of course it is. But the father refuses, grabbing Han Jae-woo and insisting he should be the one to go. Han Jae-woo stops him, explaining that his daughter doesn't need an elixir. With a pained expression, he claims the true cure is a father's heartfelt love. The guild leader completely breaks down, moved to tears by his profound wisdom. Now that he has the man's complete trust, Han Jae-woo's true intentions surface. He casually mentions the massive debt the Ritter family owes the guild. Business time. The guild leader's face falls as he remembers the crushing weight of the debt. With a dazzling smile, Han Jae-woo offers to take the entire burden upon himself. He grabs the man, feigning fury at his hesitation. He reminds the father this is all for the sake of his one and only daughter. From her bed, Marin weakly calls out for her father, sealing the deal. The man's mind flashes back to a time when his daughter was healthy and full of life. Completely broken by the emotional assault, the guild leader agrees to everything. Later, Han Jae-woo rides through the treacherous mountains of Gross Glockner. He takes in the spectacular, otherworldly view of the demonic dragon canyon. He finds what he's looking for, plucking a large, glowing flower from the ground. Guess this dragon's lair doubles as a botanical garden. He playfully presents the glowing flower to his loyal steed, Philly. The horse bares its teeth, but Han Jae-woo explains it's a precious medicinal herb. He feeds the flower to his companion, a thoughtful look on his face. He imagines his horse transforming into a hulking guard, a testament to the canyon's power. A system window confirms Philly's stats have risen. The entire area is rich with mana. He touches the ground, feeling the raw energy coursing through the very soil. A look of manic glee spreads across his face as he realizes the truth. He dashes around in a frenzy, scooping up every last bit of the priceless land. Guess he's starting a landscaping business. He clutches a handful of herbs, knowing he'll save the girl and get rich doing it. He casually chews on a blade of grass, savoring the sweet taste of pure profit. His moment of triumph is cut short by a small rock hitting him in the head. He whips around, his good mood instantly soured by the rude interruption. A massive goblinoid creature growls, ordering the human to leave its territory. Han Jae-woo's annoyance quickly turns to shock as he realizes he's not alone. An entire army of goblins emerges from the shadows, claiming this land as their own. A quick lore drop reveals only those with the dragon's permission can be here. The goblins are not warriors but laborers, harvesting the canyon's bounty. And now Han Jae-woo is their new boss, sipping a drink while they work. Talk about a hostile takeover. The goblins toil away, carefully gathering the precious herbs under his watch. He smirks from behind his shades, clearly enjoying his new management position. Han Jae-woo berates his new workforce for their shoddy digging. He holds up a perfectly preserved specimen, demanding they don't damage the roots. The goblins tremble as he threatens to send them back to their graves. He roars at them, making sure his point is crystal clear. Guess HR isn't a thing in this canyon. But the scene rewinds, showing us how this strange arrangement began. Moments earlier, the goblin horde charged forward, their eyes burning with malice. Han Jae-woo grits his teeth, clearly annoyed by the interruption. The creatures leap at him from all sides in a frenzied, chaotic assault. But a smirk spreads across his face as he activates a new skill. His eyes glow with an ethereal blue light, ready to turn the tables. He unleashes blood tear absorption, a vortex of crimson energy that tears through the goblin ranks. Han Jae-woo lets out a calm breath, surrounded by the swirling remnants of his power. He scoffs at the bodies littering the ground, wondering why they even bothered to fight. But their service isn't over yet. With a single word, he commands them to rise. Dark purple energy surges through a fallen goblin, its eyes glowing with unholy light. The reanimation spreads as one by one, the dead begin to stir. The entire goblin horde stands once more, now an undead army loyal only to him. Hanju claps his hands, praising his new, highly motivated workforce. He licks his lips, savoring the taste of absolute and utter domination. In his mind, they are nothing more than goblin scum, tools to be used. He swirls a glass, a toast to his own brilliance. Hanju taunts his new goblin foreman about their foolish attack. The goblin thanks him for his mercy, but Hanju just sees a new employee. He gets down to business, asking what other dangers lurk in the canyon. The goblin lists a horrifying menagerie of werewolves, worms, and ogres. Hanju praises his new subordinate's knowledge, pleased with his choice. But his moment of triumph is interrupted by a glowing ring on his finger. A familiar voice calls out. It's none other than the Shadow King, Cobalt. Cobalt playfully chides him for forgetting their special little connection. Hanju feigns ignorance, annoyed that his new friend calls at the worst times. Cobalt cuts straight to the point, asking how things are going in Gross Glockner. Hanju tries to deflect with small talk, but the Shadow King sees right through it. Cobalt extends a casual invitation to the festival in his city of Pluzin, but he quickly gets to the real reason for his call, Valpergus' visit to the Ritters. He reveals the family demanded an outrageous settlement fee from her. They also threatened to seize goods meant for Roland, a completely unfair power play. Cobalt grits his teeth, knowing this is only the beginning of their aggression. He advises Hanju to have Valpergus play along, buying as much time as possible. Hanju agrees, well aware of the transactional nature of their new friendship. He ends the call, promising a handsome reward for the intel, and Cobalt happily accepts. Cobalt laughs, eagerly anticipating the profits from the canyon's resources. But the Shadow King abruptly ends the call, noting the chaos in the background. Hanju stares at the ring, shocked that the Demon King just hung up on him. He grits his teeth, reminding himself this annoying alliance is all for Valpergus' sake. His thoughts are cut short as his goblin foreman rushes in, clearly terrified. Hanju lifts his shades, his expression shifting as he demands an explanation. A massive shadow falls over them as a hulking creature crashes into their camp. The goblin foreman identifies the new arrival, a powerful red-eyed ogre. Hanju orders his subordinate to get back, but the loyal goblin refuses to leave his side. With a swift punch, Hanju sends the goblin flying, forcing him out of harm's way. Hanju's eyes narrow, his focus locked on the hulking beast before him. The ogre scoffs at the fallen goblins, calling them pathetic for being defeated so easily. It notes that even with their high levels, they stood no chance against his absorption skill. The beast declares that summoning more undead would be completely useless against its might. But Hanju's hand begins to glow with a brilliant ethereal light. He sarcastically thinks to himself that this situation has worked out perfectly. A crimson sigil forms in his palm as he prepares a different kind of magic. He decides it's finally time to stretch his legs and get serious. Golden energy erupts from his hand, swirling with immense untamed power. A predatory grin spreads across his face, ready to enjoy a real fight. He summons one of the Empire's 12 legendary swords, an unbreakable treasure. The blade materializes in a blinding flash of golden light. He wields the legendary sword Rublanya with a familiar confidence. It's an S-rank heirloom, designed to enhance the lunar shadow sword art. The ogre and its minions recoil, recognizing the immense power of the blade. He taunts the beast, knowing it recognizes the sword's legendary fighting style. He recalls how the foolish Prince Philip had locked this masterpiece away in storage. With a single fluid motion, he cuts down one of the hulking brutes. The others can only watch in shock as their companion falls. He moves like a blur, creating phantom images as he dances between his foes. Looks like this is going to be a short fight. The ogres can only watch as he becomes a whirlwind of steel and shadow. The lead beast's confidence shatters, replaced by pure, unadulterated fear. With graceful, deadly arcs, he carves a path straight through their ranks. He lands on the head of a fallen foe, a silent king surveying his new domain. But one last brute refuses to yield, its eyes burning with defiance. Hanju effortlessly sidesteps and delivers the final, decisive blow. The goblin foreman rushes forward, witnessing the end of the swift, brutal battle. Hanju lets out a breath, admitting to himself he was a bit rusty. A likely story. His loyal subordinate is completely starstruck, his awe turning into pure worship. Hanju plays it cool, acting as if wiping out an ogre squad was just another Tuesday. He brags to his goblin foreman, but their celebration is cut short by a new arrival. A cold, feminine voice echoes through the canyon, asking a simple question. Hanju's head snaps around, his senses suddenly on high alert. The voice demands to know if he was the one who caused this destruction. the hooded figure now hovers above him, an omen of the power he's about to face. He lunges forward, sword at the ready, shocked by her sudden appearance. But his legendary lunar shadow sword art is stopped dead in its tracks. A monstrous red hand catches his arm, its grip like solid steel. The figure is revealed as a powerful demoness, and she is not happy to see him. Hanju grits his teeth, caught in a grip he cannot possibly break. Her eyes burn with rage as she delivers a simple, chilling threat. Before he can react, she lunges forward with blinding speed. A single blow sends him flying across the canyon floor. A system window confirms the devastating damage. His health is critical. Hanju is in utter disbelief, nearly defeated in a single strike. The demoness lands with crushing force, her gaze fixed on her target. He can only wonder why his morning had to be ruined by such a powerful foe. He tries to regain his composure, demanding to know who she is. She calls his behavior improper, then reveals her title, Master of Gross Glockner. Hanju is left completely baffled by her strange introduction. The pieces click into place. She's not just the master, she's the demon dragon. Hanju's mind reels, realizing in his past life, this foe was a colossal beast. She gives him a single dismissive glance as if sizing up her prey. In a flash of crimson energy, she closes the distance between them. Her eyes narrow, sensing something unusual about his very being. She detects an otherworldly energy, a power not of this dimension. The goblin foreman panics, vowing to protect his master from this strange foe. But she has no time for words, raising a clawed hand to end the conversation. With a final, chilling declaration, she lunges forward to deliver the final blow. Hanju desperately tries to stop her, begging for a chance to explain. But the demon dragon simply raises a clawed hand, dismissing his pleas as futile. A wave of crimson energy surges forward, an attack meant to erase him from existence. But Hanju roars out a final desperate threat. If he dies, she dies with him. The attack stops just inches from his face, her expression shifting from rage to confusion. He holds her gaze, sweat beading on his brow as his life hangs on this single audacious bluff. The master of Gross Glockner can only stare, completely baffled by his strange declaration. She demands an explanation for his words, and he calmly replies that it's exactly what it sounds like. With a confident smirk, he claims to have prophetic dreams. Guess it came to me in a dream works in any world. He describes a vision he saw, the mighty demon dragon dying a bloody and miserable death. She tries to connect the dots, realizing he's somehow linking his own fate directly to hers. He doubles down, offering her a look inside his mind to prove his vision. The demon dragon considers his audacious offer, her expression unreadable. She suddenly raises a clawed hand, and Hanju flinches in terror. But she relents, agreeing to his terms with a heavy sigh. A wave of dark energy erupts as she gives him a final, deadly warning. Hanju can only agree, sweating profusely under the immense pressure. Guess he's regretting this particular bluff. Her monstrous hand glows with crimson power, ready to enforce her threat. But the scales and claws recede, revealing a surprisingly human touch. She places her hand on his head, preparing to delve into his memories. She gives one last condition. Any sudden moves, and this ends for good. Hanju agrees, sweat dripping down his face as the bluff continues. A wave of psychic energy explodes as she dives deep into his mind. The demon dragon finds herself floating in the vast expanse of his consciousness. She is surrounded by an endless reel of memories, a lifetime flashing before her. The sheer volume of his past stuns her, but Hanju tries to play it cool. She demands to see more, but he nervously insists she's seen enough. He quickly directs her attention to a single isolated memory bubble. The dragon finds his behavior suspicious, but he just offers a nervous laugh. The vision he presents is blurry, its source and meaning completely obscured. But then the image clears, revealing her own massive, lifeless body on the ground. The demon dragon stares in disbelief, asking if the vision of her death is real. Hanju forcefully ejects her from his mind, sending her reeling back into reality. She lands hard, shaken to her core, while Hanju gasps for breath. He knows it was a close call. Any deeper, and she'd have seen his other lives. Convinced by the vision, she demands to know the identity of her future killer. Her gaze is fixed on him, her mind racing to understand this impossible prophecy. As thanks, she offers to spare his life, but orders him to leave her mountain forever. She turns away, daring him to challenge her decision. Guess thanks has a different meaning for ancient dragons. But Hanju rises, a confident smirk on his face as he proposes a new deal. He shortens her name to Shubi, leaving her and the goblin foreman completely stunned by his audacity. He pounds his fist, insisting that if she just listens to him, she can live. The demon dragon is absolutely livid, screaming that she's 3,000 years old and refuses the nickname. He claims it's just how the younger generation talks, but she's not buying his cultural lesson. Their argument echoes through the canyon, a battle of wills between man and ancient beast. And just like that, a new quest appears in his system window, the Dragon's Trust. The system helpfully informs him the difficulty has slightly increased. Yeah, right. The scene shifts to a dark, ominous forest, far from the demonic Dragon Canyon. A massive blue serpent slithers through the undergrowth, sensing a disturbance, but its hunt is cut short as a heavy boot crushes it without a second thought. A new horned figure appears, calling out to a master of chaos and disorder. The horned figure clenches his fist, preparing for a grand introduction. He reveals himself as the great demon king Oddgash, much to his subordinates' delight. But the snake-like assistant interrupts his dramatic speech, earning his lord's immediate wrath. Oddgash sulks on a tree stump, his grand entrance completely ruined. Guess even demon kings can be divas. A new voice cuts in, asking him to forgive her subordinates for their clumsiness. The demon king's mood instantly lifts as he recognizes the familiar presence. A warrior in full plate armor appears, whom he affectionately calls his daughter, Calone. The armored knight bows her head, formally greeting her lord with the utmost respect. Oddgash reminds her of his promise, a single wish granted upon their victory. He smiles, insisting it's not a reward but a natural gift for his beloved daughter. With a sinister smile, Oddgash addresses his monstrous servants. He announces their destination, Gross Glockner, the home of the demon dragon. He strikes a confident pose, telling his army to cast aside their fear. Their orders are simple: devour everything and everyone in their path. He commands them to trample all life underfoot, leaving nothing behind. A system window identifies him as the demon king of greed as he claims the dragon for himself. The army moves as one, a blur of motion through the moonlit forest. Oddgash leaps through the trees, crackling with dark, chaotic energy. He gives the final command, ready to unleash his forces. Guess the neighborhood watch is in for a long night. His voice rings out, sending his vile children forth to begin the slaughter. A quick profile reveals the demon dragon despises all life, seeing them as insects. Under the pale moonlight, a call to assemble echoes through the jagged canyon. Hanju stands with his new foreman, declaring that a new night has dawned. He reflects on the day's chaos, reminding his goblin crew of their true mission. With a powerful shout, he rallies his undead workforce to begin the harvest. Inspired by their new master, the goblin horde charges forward with renewed purpose. He directs the operation from a lounge chair, a true master of delegation. His loyal foreman, Kurlak, serves him a freshly prepared mandrake cocktail. He thanks his subordinate, then orders another drink for his horse, because of course he does. Taking a sip, he reflects that without his past memories, the dragon would have surely killed him. He mulls over the strange inconsistencies of this particular playthrough, from Prince Philip's betrayal to the dragon's unexpected human form. Everything in this timeline feels different, slightly off-kilter. But he shrugs it off, his thoughts drifting to Valpergus instead. Priorities, I guess. Suddenly his eyes widen as a new, startling thought strikes him. He raises a hand, summoning a familiar blue interface from the system. With a single word, he commands the system to open before him. He's not just checking stats, he's diving into the main scenario itself. And just as he suspected, the changes weren't isolated to this run. Every event, every choice he's ever made has been subtly altered. He realizes nothing matches his previous runs. This world is completely new. As the former #1 player, he knew this world inside and out. So his confusion over the dragon's location is a massive red flag. He decides to organize his thoughts, trying to make sense of the chaos. The major story beats, the betrayals, the battles are all the same. But the smaller details within those scenarios have been completely altered. This isn't just a new playthrough. The world itself has been rewritten. He senses he's missing a crucial piece of this new, confusing puzzle. A sudden cry of pain shatters the silence of the canyon. His train of thought is broken as he turns to see what the commotion is about. An injured goblin stammers an apology, claiming he was just hurt while gathering herbs. Hanju gives a stern warning about damaging the merchandise. Guess there are no workers' comp benefits here. He sighs, realizing he can't take his eyes off his new undead employees for a second. He watches as one goblin checks on another, realizing the two are brothers. The small act of kindness triggers a memory of another character, Charlotte. He's stunned, realizing he never knew she had a younger sister in his past runs. The memory shows a moment of sisterly concern he'd never witnessed before. His mind flashes through other relationships, other lives he's now seeing differently. He has a sudden epiphany. As his own role has changed, so has his entire perspective. He's no longer just a player. He's seeing the world through the eyes of a leader. He recalls his past lives as a Steel Elector and even the Emperor of the Empire. He was a hero who saved the world, a figure of immense power and prestige. In every previous run, he started with extraordinary abilities and maxed out stats. But this time, he's just a man standing in a spotlight with nothing special to his name. There's nothing about him that stands out, no overwhelming power to rely on. He's just a normal commoner, a blank slate in a world he once dominated. His only advantage now is the vast collection of memories from his countless playthroughs. Compared to his past selves, his current state is almost laughably pathetic. Talk about a glow down. But this new perspective allows him to see the world differently, to notice the small details he'd always overlooked. He can finally see the real people behind the characters, like the unguarded smile of Valpergus. He realizes in his past lives he would have just paid Valpergus's debt without a thought. But now, with this new perspective, the final piece of the puzzle clicks into place. He recalls a memory of a mysterious silver-haired woman and her sudden proposal.
She had offered him a strange, glowing blue object like a piece of a key.
It was a fragment of a puzzle that could unlock the game's true ending. An ending that no player, not even him, had ever managed to find. A key to a mysterious space she had created, hidden from everyone. He stares into his screaming mandrake cocktail, the truth hitting him like a ton of bricks. His strange start as a commoner, the sudden class unlock. It was all a tutorial, a hidden path to the one ending he could never reach. His moment of clarity is broken as Kurlak cries out, announcing the dragon's arrival. A powerful gust of wind tears through the camp, a sign of her immense power. The demon dragon lands, confirming the invaders are here just as he predicted. Hanju stretches triumphantly, thanking a mysterious figure named Aquila. With a knowing grin, he remarks that this has reminded him how amazing this game is. The ancient dragon can only stare, completely baffled by his strange monologue. He ignores their confusion, pumping himself up for the fight to come. Guess no one's getting an explanation. He declares that he finally understands how to savor every moment of this world. With a powerful leap, he announces the beginning of his brand new strategy. Hanju lets out a wild laugh, leaving his new allies utterly speechless. Kurlak can only conclude that his new master has completely lost his mind. The scene shifts to a special segment, a look into Kurlak's personal diary. The diary entry recalls Hanju's strict management style, demanding perfection. He remembers his master's sudden, unpredictable flashes of insight, and the moments of intense, almost terrifying concentration that followed, all of which would inevitably end in another bout of unhinged laughter. What a great boss. A quick profile confirms Kurlak was chosen for his smarts, earning him a cushy secretary job. Meanwhile, the Demon King of Greed's army charges forward, led by a three-eyed brute. He crashes into the canyon, a whirlwind of destructive force clearing the path. But their target is no mere beast, it's the legendary demon dragon Schwarzeteufel. The Demon King's army roars his name, their voices echoing with bloodlust. At the head of the vanguard, the armored knight Calone stands watch. She alerts Oddgash to an approaching presence, but he only has eyes for the dragon. He scoffs at the sight of Hanju and Kurlak, unimpressed by the welcoming party. But Calone warns him that the first arrivals are not the only ones. A massive wave of energy erupts from the canyon floor, silencing them both. Oddgash and his daughter brace themselves, finally facing a worthy opponent. A massive clawed foot slams down as the demon dragon makes her grand entrance. She flexes a crimson hand, reminding them exactly whose territory they've invaded. With a single command, Schwarzeteufel orders the intruders to leave her home. Oddgash greets the demon dragon, announcing he's here with a proposal. He insists his offer is tempting, but she dismisses him without a second thought. But Hanju steps in, offering a deal as appealing as she is. The demon dragon considers his words, a silent understanding passing between them. With her wings spread wide, she prepares to unleash her full power. She gestures forward, a silent challenge to anyone who dares to face her. The three-eyed brute misreads the room, thinking her challenge is a private invitation. A sudden massive explosion of blue energy rips through the battlefield. Hanju looks to the sky as a single star shines brightly above. He kneels to the ground, catching his breath after unleashing his attack. Han Jae-woo knew this invasion was coming, but it's much earlier than he expected. He recalls the vision of the fallen dragon, a crucial piece of his future plans. But for now, he turns on the charm, fawning over the legendary Lady Calone. The armored knight remains silent, her expression hidden behind a steel visor. With a shimmer of blue light, her helmet retracts, revealing her face. Her piercing green eyes stare back, completely unmoved by his flattery. She stands before her demonic retinue, a commander ready for battle. Han Jae-woo's confident smirk never wavers, his game far from over. A single sound escapes her lips, a note of mild surprise. Guess the charm offensive is working. A little. The system confirms her identity. Calone, daughter of the Demon King. He knows that depending on the player's choices, she can be a powerful ally or a deadly foe. She's a high-risk character, stronger than any he's faced, earning her the title of Ice Queen. For his new strategy to succeed, he knows he absolutely must recruit her. He vows to finish this quickly for Valpergus, then turns his charm on the Ice Queen herself. But his smooth words are met with the cold, sharp point of a spear. The spear is held by one of Caleone's demonic retainers, a woman in a tattered nun's habit. With glowing red eyes, she lets out an inhuman screech, clearly not a fan of his pickup lines. But Han Jae-woo casually pushes the spear aside, asking the subordinate to move along. Enraged by his dismissal, she unleashes a powerful, sweeping attack. But Oddgash's snake-like assistant screams at her, furious at the interruption. The snake-like assistant screams at the nun, calling her utterly worthless. But Kurlak steps forward, trembling but ready to die for his new master. Han Jae-woo pats his shoulder, playfully reminding him how he ran from the dragon. He then turns to the demons, declaring his goblin is braver than any of them. The snake-like assistant's face contorts with rage at the blatant disrespect. The nun-like demoness is equally furious, her eyes burning with hatred. But their standoff is interrupted by the appearance of a new weapon. A woman named Hexax steps into the light, another unexpected player in this game. Looks like Han Jae-woo called for backup. She gives a confident smirk, her red eyes gleaming with anticipation. With a sharp crack of her whip, she signals her readiness for a fight. The nun-like demon is suddenly ensnared, her attack stopped cold by an unseen force. A new figure's eyes glow red, unleashing a torrent of shadowy bat-like energy. A loyal butler-like swordsman effortlessly restrains the demoness with his dark magic. He vows to show no mercy to anyone who dares threaten his master. Calone watches the scene unfold, correctly identifying the newcomer as a vampire. Han Jae-woo's grin widens, confirming her guess with smug satisfaction. An entire squad of new allies emerges, evening the odds in a flash of purple light. Looks like the cavalry has arrived. Caleone's demonic army stands ready, unimpressed by the sudden reinforcements. She finally understands the source of his confidence, her own power beginning to stir. But she reminds him that they are the Legion of Oddgash, a force not so easily matched. Caleone's armor crackles with dark energy, her power on full display. Through her glowing visor, she gives the order, leave nothing standing. Her demonic horde roars in unison, eager to follow their commander's command. But Han Jae-woo's forces are just as loyal, vowing to protect their master. A young swordsman steps forward, his blade glowing with a strange, dark power. Calone accepts the challenge, lunging forward with incredible speed. The two warriors clash, their immense energies colliding in a blinding flash. The swordsman digs in his heels, skillfully deflecting the powerful blow. Looks like the new guy can hold his own. Calone is genuinely impressed, admitting he's stronger than she anticipated. Her opponent simply smirks, honored to receive praise from the Ice Queen herself. But Han Jae-woo's thoughts drift, questioning Oddgash's claim to the title of Demon Lord. He taunts Calone, claiming her true father would weep tears of blood to see her now. He reveals her true identity, Lady Calone, daughter of the former Rank 1 Demon Lord Kaimars. Stunned by this revelation, she demands to know how he could possibly know such a secret. Han Jae-woo simply laughs, finding her confusion utterly ridiculous. He asks how he could possibly not laugh at the irony of it all. He pities her for being so completely ignorant of her own history. And then he drops the bombshell. She's following the very man who killed her father. Well, this is awkward. Oddgash roars in denial, his face contorted with rage at the accusation. A system window confirms his identity as the Demon King of Greed, a notoriously arrogant and powerful foe. Caleone's mind flashes back, recalling the man she respected above all others. She remembers her father, Kaimars, and the warmth in his gaze. His presence brought her peace and gave their people a reason to believe. He was a source of immense pride, a true leader among the demon folk. For the young Calone, her father was the very definition of happiness. But that idyllic memory shatters, replaced by a vision of blood and defeat. She relives the moment her father was brutally murdered by his rivals. A young Calone is silenced as the usurpers declare themselves the new rulers. She's dragged away from the carnage, helpless to stop the coup. Talk about a hostile takeover. But the man holding her claims to share her grief, positioning himself as a loyal friend. He sheds a single tear, telling the young girl they must endure for now. He promises that one day he will help her achieve her revenge, and that, of course, is the story he told her. Back in the present, Calone explodes with rage, threatening to tear Hanju apart for his lies. Hanju calmly picks up a glowing orb, remarking on how deeply she's been deceived. He offers her a chance to see the truth, holding up a swirling sphere of memories. But she crushes the orb under her heel, refusing to even look at his proof. The Ice Queen's loyalty to the man who raised her is absolute. Meanwhile, Oddgash laughs maniacally, finding the whole situation strangely romantic. He completely ignores the drama, instead addressing the demon dragon with a twisted declaration of love. The demon dragon points an accusatory claw, roaring that Oddgash is Kaimars's true killer. Oddgash scoffs at the idea, blaming two other demons for the former king's death. But Schwartz Teufel sees through the lie, calling them all traitors to their core. The demon king feigns annoyance at her persistence, his patience wearing thin. But then a wicked smile spreads across his face as he admits she's right. The dragon's eyes narrow, sensing the confession she's been waiting for. Oddgash's facade shatters as he erupts with manic laughter, proudly taking credit for the murder. He boasts that he orchestrated the entire coup by revealing Kaimar's greatest weakness. Talk about a team player. Calone can only stare in horror, her entire world crumbling around her. Her sword slips from her numb fingers, crashing to the ground with a deafening clang. Calone refuses to believe it, recalling how Oddgash was like a sworn brother to her father. But Hanju sees her doubt, knowing his psychological attack is working perfectly. The scene flashes back, showing Hanju laying out his strategy for the demon dragon. He asks about a magic projector, a key component of his audacious scheme. With a confident grin, he orders them to broadcast the entire confrontation. His goal was simple: expose the truth by forcing a public confession from Oddgash himself. The demon dragon is stunned by the plan's simplicity, but Hanju is certain it will work. And now, back in the present, the Ice Queen's composure completely shatters. Hanju congratulates his new ally. The first phase of his plan is a resounding success. He glances at the memory orb, promising to handle the rest of this little family drama himself. Tears stream down Caleone's face as she asks if her entire life has been an act. She remembers a time when they were a family, a happy memory now tainted by betrayal. Meanwhile, one of Hanju's subordinates reports that the cleanup is complete. The cheerful soldier stands before a line of captured demons. Guess HR is having a busy night. Hanju looks down at the broken knight, his expression cold and calculating. He remarks on her 50 years of loyal service to the very man she should have been fighting. The weight of this truth is too much to bear, and the Ice Queen finally shatters. Hanju watches her breakdown, his plan unfolding exactly as he envisioned. He breaks the silence, asking if she intends to stay on the ground forever. And then he offers her the one thing he knows she can't refuse, a chance for revenge. He offers to teach her the very technique her father once used to rule. A single tear falls as she admits it's been years since she heard that name. It's a legendary spell, drawing power from the cosmos to wound even an archdemon. She demands to know how he could possess such a well-kept family secret. In his mind, he recalls studying the game's strategy guide cover to cover. He knows not only its immense power, but also its one fatal weakness. But for now, he decides a more believable story is in order. He claims to have read the ancient chronicles of the 7 demon wars. He explains that her father's legendary right was detailed within its pages. Guess the library card paid off. His story works, and as she accepts his explanation, he celebrates his successful bluff. But Calone dismisses his help, claiming the ancient right is useless against an immortal foe. She recalls how Oddgash once survived her father's ultimate attack, proving his resilience. She questions her own strength, but Hanju insists she's completely mistaken. He steps forward, commanding her full attention for the lesson he's about to give. He reveals her demonic retinue has already been neutralized by his own vampire army. He kneels before the broken knight, urging her to listen to his proposal. With unwavering confidence, he offers to become the new ally she so desperately needs. He gives her a simple, brutal choice. Join him or die right where she kneels. Talk about a compelling job offer. A single tear escapes, a silent testament to the collapse of her entire world. Her mind flashes back to a happier time, a promise made to the father she adored. She remembers her father telling her she must one day surpass him. He had assured her that she was more than capable of it. He'd lifted her into the air, a moment of pure, innocent joy. He had told her she could do anything because she was his daughter. And with all her heart, she had believed him. Back in the present, she looks up at Hanju, a single question in her tear-filled eyes. Hanju, however, is completely flustered by her sudden emotional outburst. His own subordinates chide him for being too harsh with his recruitment pitch. Guess join me or die isn't the best HR strategy. He yells at her to pull herself together, but his team just keeps teasing him. Kurlak can only watch in silence, wondering what kind of circus he's joined. Calone's thoughts turn to Lord Marong, another name from Oddgash's lies. The demon king of greed simply smirks, his power flaring around him. He seems to relish the chaos, his confidence growing with every revelation. He turns his attention to the demon dragon, his true target all along. Oddgash admits that Marong also fell pathetically, another victim of his ambition. The demon dragon grits her teeth, bloodied but far from broken. She offers a simple, defiant response to the demon king's gloating. Real eloquent. A system window confirms the tragic history of Kaimars, the betrayed king. The battlefield erupts as the demon dragon unleashes a flurry of attacks. But Oddgash just laughs, finding her efforts utterly disappointing. The demon dragon lunges forward, furious that he would dare refuse her offer. Oddgash's eyes widen, shocked by her sudden violent rejection. She takes a deep breath, gathering a massive amount of fiery energy. A torrent of dragon's fire erupts, engulfing the demon king completely. She doesn't let up, pouring every ounce of her rage into the inferno. But Oddgash emerges from the flames, completely unscathed and laughing. A brilliant green light begins to form in the palm of his hand. He unleashes a devastating beam of energy, a direct counter to her attack. The demon king of greed powers up, his body crackling with immense power. A wicked grin spreads across his face. This is the fight he's been waiting for. Oddgash accepts her defiance, his own power flaring to life around him. With a single swing of his massive axe, he carves a trench into the very earth. He leaps into the air, bringing the full weight of his power down upon her. The resulting explosion of energy slams the demon dragon straight into the ground. She's left broken in a crater, her human form no match for his raw strength. But even on the brink of defeat, her eyes burn with a promise of violent retribution. Oddgash moves to finish the job, but a dark power begins to rise from the smoke. The demon dragon unleashes her true form, a colossal beast of shadow and scale. She towers over the demon king, her immense presence shaking the canyon. The battlefield is torn asunder, a testament to the power now unleashed. As the ground shakes violently, Kurlak clings to his master for dear life. A new blonde-haired woman watches the chaos, finding the display rather cute. The vampire butler reports that the dragon's mana is surging out of control. The massive dragon lets out a deafening roar, interrupting the butler mid-sentence. The butler expresses his confidence, certain the demon dragon can hold her own. But Hanju corrects him, explaining that this region operates under different rules. He reveals this location imposes a massive penalty on the demon dragon's power. He considers the new variables, his mind already working on a solution. He turns his gaze to Calone, the broken knight now standing at the ready. He tells her that her mission has just become even more important. Calone's eyes are filled with a new, cold resolve. She agrees, ready to play her part in this chaotic battle. Oddgash grins, bringing his axe down with overwhelming force. The blow connects, sending a shockwave across the canyon floor. But the demon dragon's eyes still burn with unyielding fury. He meets her rage head-on, his own power crackling around him. He taunts her, relishing this raw contest of strength. In response, Schwarze-Teufel gathers a torrent of dragonfire. She unleashes the inferno, but Oddgash meets it with his own beam of pure energy. The two colossal attacks collide, tearing the very battlefield apart. Oddgash grits his teeth, pouring every ounce of his power into the struggle. The demon dragon unleashes a final, desperate torrent of pure, unadulterated rage. But when the smoke clears, the demon king is left standing in a sea of fire. He laughs, admitting that being matched in strength only makes him want her more. Schwarze-Teufel can only snarl, disgusted by his sheer arrogance. She makes it clear, Even if the world ends, she will never cooperate with him. Oddgash's smile fades, his patience finally wearing thin. He declares that if she won't be persuaded, he'll just have to change his tactics. Guess the nice guy routine is over. With a mighty swing, he unleashes a new, far more sinister attack. A wave of crackling green energy tears through the sky, shaped like a monstrous jaw. The Demon King's attack isn't aimed at her, but at a dark cave behind her. A brilliant green light erupts from the darkness within. The energy explodes outward, a shockwave of pure destructive force. The blast slams into the demon dragon, overwhelming her defenses completely. Oddgash laughs maniacally, mocking her pathetic display of power. The mighty dragon crashes to the ground, defeated by a single calculated strike. As the smoke clears, her colossal form begins to fade away. She's forced back into her humanoid state, battered and exhausted. Guess that power-up had a time limit. A massive pillar slams into the ground, sealing her fate. Oddgash smirks, realizing this place is the very source of her weakness. He admits he doesn't know what the cave is, only that it's her weakness. The demon dragon lies on the ground, battered but still defiant. She grits her teeth, a low growl escaping her lips. With her last bit of strength, she offers a final vulgar gesture, classy to the very end. Oddgash just laughs, impressed by her spirit even in defeat. He raises his axe high, promising to cleave her in two. The demon dragon closes her eyes, believing her role has finally come to an end. But a flash of blue light intercepts the blow, a new challenger arriving. Hanju smirks from the sidelines. It's finally his turn to play. A wave of dark energy erupts, signaling the start of the real fight. The demon dragon can only stare, speechless at her last-second rescue. But her defiance returns as she calls her rescuer a brat for his tardiness. Hanju stands ready, calmly accepting her less-than-grateful welcome. His vampire butler, however, can't resist mocking the dragon's sorry state. She turns away in a huff, clearly not amused by the peanut gallery. But their bickering is cut short by a chilling reminder from the Demon King. Oddgash glares at the human, demanding to know what he's done with Calone. Hanju just offers a smug smile, playing dumb about the Ice Queen's whereabouts. He takes a deep breath, preparing to make a grand theatrical announcement, and with a mighty roar, he calls out the name of their new unexpected ally. A brilliant star of power ignites in the sky as Calone invokes her father's name. Oddgash can only watch as her immense power washes over the battlefield. She descends from the heavens, wreathed in the light of a forgotten magic. Her glowing eyes fix on the Demon King, demanding he answer for his crimes. Oddgash's confusion gives way to a tense, unreadable expression. A system window confirms her turn. The loyal commander now seeks vengeance. But Oddgash erupts in laughter, praising her for mastering her father's legendary rite. He orders her to kill Hanju, completely misreading the room. Talk about a bad manager. Hanju scoffs, taunting the Demon King for his utter cluelessness. He points an accusatory finger, declaring Oddgash is the true target of her rage. Oddgash laughs off the accusation, calling the human's words complete nonsense. He tries to save face, claiming he and Kymars were the closest of friends. He insists he would never betray the man he considered a brother. But the broadcast replays his earlier confession, exposing him as the traitor. Hanju can only grin, his trap having sprung perfectly. The Demon King's denial shatters into a fit of manic, furious laughter. He finally realizes he's been played, his own words used against him. Hanju urges the demon dragon to restrain him before he completely loses it. She answers the call, unleashing dark tendrils to bind the enraged king. As the trap closes, Calone prepares to deliver the final vengeful blow. Guess family reunions are off the table. Oddgash just smirks, his eyes glowing with arrogant, unshakable power. But Calone is ready, her greatsword crackling with vengeful energy. The ancient rite ignites the sky, a seal of judgment hanging over the Demon King. With a furious roar, she screams his name, channeling 50 years of lies into one strike. A pillar of divine light descends, a torrent of pure, concentrated power. It slams into Oddgash, engulfing him in a blinding holy inferno. The Demon King's arrogance shatters as he's torn apart by the celestial blast. The explosion rips through the canyon, a testament to a daughter's rage. Calone stands in the aftermath, her sword planted firmly in the scorched earth. She stares at the smoldering crater, at the broken form of the man who betrayed her father. Looks like revenge is a dish best served extra crispy. Oddgash lies broken in the crater, his eyes rolled back as he whispers that it's finally over. Caleone's mind flashes back to a happier time, a memory of her father's loving embrace. Tears of grief and relief stream down her face. 50 years of pain have finally been avenged. but a sinister green energy erupts from the crater, and a voice praises her excellent attack. Oddgash rises from the dust, a wicked grin on his face, his eyes glowing with renewed power. Calone can only stare in horror, her ultimate attack having failed to finish the job. But Hanju intervenes, his arm wreathed in dark energy as he lands a decisive blow. Enraged by the human fly, Oddgash unleashes a torrent of crackling green power. Guess he's not a fan of party crashers. The Demon King glares at the festering black wound left on his shoulder. He grits his teeth in shock, realizing his legendary regeneration has completely failed. A new lesson from the Guardian of Humanity's playbook is about to begin. Hanju reveals his trump card, a severed piece of the Demon King himself. He grips the armored limb, a grotesque weapon for an impossible fight. With a final, brutal strike, he drives the limb straight into Oddgash's skull. He reveals the ultimate rule: to kill an immortal, you must use a part of them. The Demon King is blasted away, his own power turned into a fatal curse. And just like that, a system window confirms the impossible. Oddgash has been defeated. The loot drops are legendary, including the Demon King's corpse. Talk about a souvenir. His summon undead skill levels up, upgrading his vampires to powerful daywalkers. To top it all off, he acquires a new S-rank skill, Endless Vitality. The system keeps the rewards coming, granting him the S-rank skill, Black Lightning. Another S-rank ability is added to his arsenal, Opera Nova. And to top it off, he acquires the SS rank skill, Ghostly Steps. The system bestows upon him the title of Hero. Guess mass manipulation and psychological warfare count as heroic deeds now. As the dust settles, the canyon bears the scars of their cataclysmic battle. The demon dragon's hand glows with fading power, her energy nearly spent. She stands over a captured elf, declaring her fight is over. But her strength fails, and she falls, defiantly telling the elf to let her comrades die. The elf-like woman looks down, her expression a mask of cold contemplation. Hanju turns to leave with his victorious crew, calling back to the last remaining player on the field. The elf-like woman watches him go, her expression shifting from surprise to deep thought. A soft, knowing smile spreads across her face as she comes to a decision. She realizes that in this chaotic group, she may have finally found her place. The scene shifts to a memory of a young Valpergus crying over a cup of bitter medicine. Her father gently insists she drink it all, despite her complaints. He reminds her that the hero, Lord Valor, and his party risked their lives to get it. She bargains with him, asking for a wish if she can finish the entire cup. But the memory darkens as her father panics, asking if a certain deal has been handled. Lord Valor, Hanju's past self, silences the man with a firm hand. Guess hero is a flexible term. He suggests they discuss their business away from the child's innocent ears. The memory continues, taking us behind a closed, ornate door. Hanju, as Lord Valor, looks on with cold displeasure, demanding an update. He explodes with frustration, questioning why the debtors are causing such a scene. The guildmaster sighs, explaining the Elector of Saxony is the root of the problem. A flashback shows a flamboyant blonde man interrupting the guildmaster's business. He lays on the charm, reminding the guildmaster of their friendly relationship. The man gets uncomfortably close, demanding a meeting with the Elector. Personal space is clearly not his strong suit. The guildmaster has no choice but to agree to the thinly veiled threat. Hanju connects the dots. The debtors fear losing their influence over Saxony. He finally understands why the Lighter Guild was acting with such impunity. He realizes the Emperor and Bayern were evenly matched, like two great dragons. But the Elector of Saxony's involvement has tipped the scales completely. Hanju racks his brain, reminding himself he was once a top player. The guildmaster nervously tries to offer a different form of compensation. But the shadow of Lord Valor's displeasure falls over him. Hanju leans in, asking if the guildmaster enjoys making threats. Looks like the tables have turned. The scene shifts to the formidable castle of the House of Saxony. Inside, the Elector trembles as he reads a dire message. His face contorts with rage, questioning if this means his house will be destroyed. His subordinate explains they were coerced into transferring the debt to a stranger. The subordinate insists their hands were tied, that they had no other choice. A royal seal shatters, a symbol of the house's broken authority. The Elector, now masked and desperate, orders his man to the capital. He demands the situation be resolved, no matter the cost. A quick trivia break reveals Calone's twin aides are nameless screechers. Guess Lackey 1 and Lackey 2 will have to do. Back in the present, the system confirms a major skill upgrade for Hanju. he considers his newly promoted vampires, now powerful daywalkers. With a single command, he calls forth his most loyal servant. A swarm of bats darkens the sky, answering their master's call. The vampire butler appears, bowing respectfully to his lord. Hanju informs his butler of his new daywalker status and a special mission. He hands over a sealed letter, a personal will to be delivered to one Reeb Saltz. The vampire accepts the precious cargo, his hands trembling with the weight of the task. With a final command, Hanju dismisses his servant, who vanishes instantly. But just as he's about to move on, a voice calls out from behind him. The guildmaster from the memory approaches, addressing him as Lord Valor. He presents his offering, a magnificent carriage crafted by a master artisan. The vehicle is a work of art, a symbol of immense wealth and power. The guildmaster explains he had to call in a few favors to acquire it. Flanked by his companions, Hanju admits the ride is pretty slick. Guest threats are a great motivator. The guildmaster explains he's also included a hefty payment for the herbs. He asks what Hanju plans to do with such a luxurious carriage. Hanju's dark reply leaves the guildmaster sweating bullets. Just then, a young Valpergus peeks out from behind her father. Hanju greets her warmly, reminding her to take care of her health. With a blush, she tells him she has something for him as well. She gives him a quick kiss on the cheek, a gesture of pure gratitude. Her father can only stare, completely stunned by his daughter's boldness. Even his companions are taken aback by the sudden display of affection. And Hanju is left utterly speechless, caught completely off guard. She smiles sweetly, declaring her kiss was a present for the hero. As the carriage pulls away, the moment seems to be over. But Valpergus turns to her father, reminding him of the wish he promised her. The guildmaster's face falls, already dreading what's about to happen. With a confident smile, she prepares to cash in on that promise. She declares her one true wish, to become Lord Valor's bride. Her father is absolutely devastated. It seems her childhood dream of marrying her dad has been officially replaced. His heartbroken denial echoes through the city streets. Guess he's not ready to let go. Meanwhile, Hanju's party continues on their journey, unaware of the drama. His elf-like companion can only laugh, impressed by the young girl's bold move. Inside the carriage, his companions question his intense affection for a bag of money. But Hanju just laughs, declaring that in this world, cash is king. He chides his new followers for judging him, telling them not to copy his expressions. Suddenly, a golden ring on his finger begins to glow, signaling an incoming call. A man named Lord Cowardice greets him, relieved to hear he survived his last mission. Hanju's stoic expression remains unchanged. Guess some things never go out of style. He cuts the small talk short, his message carried on a mysterious black feather. With the pleasantries out of the way, he asks if the lighters have left yet. The scene shifts to a crow's eye view, revealing his informant's spy network. As the crow soars over a distant castle, Hanju demands to know what it's found. The crow lands, confirming through its master that Hanju's prediction was correct. His informant reports that their targets left for the capital that morning, and they were furious. Hanju casually explains he just played a little trick on them. Nothing major. But the informant has another piece of surprising news, piquing his companion's curiosity. He reveals that Roslyn, the demon lord of roses, is currently in the capital. Seeing an opportunity, Hanju asks his spy to spread a specific rumor for him. He makes a gesture of secrecy, which seems to fluster his contact on the other end. As his companion laughs at the exchange, Hanju ends the call, trusting his plan is in motion. He shudders in disgust, clearly not a fan of his informant's overly familiar tone. Inside the carriage, his new followers realize their master's network is far wider than they knew. Hanju's expression shifts, a sly grin spreading across his face. His new demonic followers are clearly unnerved by his sudden change in demeanor. With a confident point, he reveals the next phase of his grand scheme. He's decided it's time for the newly liberated Calone to make a public appearance. The scene shifts to the bustling streets of the imperial capital, Vienna. Life goes on as usual, with citizens enjoying the sunny afternoon. The city's nobility stroll through the streets, completely unaware of the coming storm. But Hanju's rumor has already begun to spread like wildfire. The tale of the betrayed king and his kidnapped daughter is on everyone's lips, a classic sob story if you ignore all the facts. The townsfolk speculate on the motive, sensing a deeper, darker truth to the story. The gossip takes a turn, focusing on the rumored beauty of the lost princess. Just then, the wheels of a grand carriage clatter to a halt in the city square. The crowd immediately points, certain this is the arrival they've been waiting for. Beside him, a newly dressed Calone blushes, questioning the need for such a spectacle. But Hanju insists her appearance is a strategic weapon in their new war. She seems confused, still thinking of weapons in terms of swords and battle axes. He quickly scolds her for such brutish talk while she's playing the part of a lady. As the crowd stares intensify, he tells her their attention is exactly what he wants. He begins to coach her, demonstrating the perfect pose for a tragic heroine. He instructs her on how to sit, crafting the perfect image of noble grace. He tells her to make the most bashful expression she can muster. He demonstrates with a sickeningly sweet pose a masterclass in fake modesty. But Calone protests. She's a battle-hardened commander, not a stage performer. His elf-like companion grows impatient, threatening to fire her from the team. She gives Calone a simple choice: play the part or get out. Caleone's hand clenches into a fist, her pride warring with her new reality. Hanju watches with a grin, while her former subordinates seem to be enjoying the show. Reluctantly, she follows his instructions, placing a hand delicately under her chin. She completes the pose, placing her other hand on her knee as instructed. The crowd watches, completely captivated by the tragic princess's debut performance. She forces a shy smile, playing the part of the bashful princess perfectly. The crowd is left in a state of stunned, reverent silence. Their shock quickly turns to awe, completely captivated by her performance. She whispers to Hanju, nervously asking if she's doing it correctly. The square erupts into a frenzy as the citizens rush the carriage. Looks like the performance was a hit. Calone is completely overwhelmed, tears welling in her eyes at the sudden adoration. She's flustered and blushing, unused to this kind of positive attention. Her mind races, still questioning if this ridiculous act is actually working. The scene shifts to a grand hall, where a line of servants awaits a special guest. The Demon Lord of Roses, Rosalind, announces the arrival of someone important. She laments that this grand hall is not her own palace for such a special guest. With a passionate plea, she begs her staff to give this their absolute all. She commands the chefs to prepare the most magnificent feast they've ever conceived. The maids are ordered to make this place even more beautiful than her own home. No pressure. A servant rushes in, announcing that her lord will be arriving at any moment. She addresses her entire staff, hoping to make this the greatest day of their lives. But a single bead of sweat reveals the immense pressure she feels for this meeting. And then the reason is revealed. She's doing all of this for her lord, Kymars. A quick trivia break confirms the guildmaster's daughter now has one life goal: marrying valor. And a character card introduces Rosalind, the Demon King of Rose, desired by all. But her public persona was only half the story. With eloquent speech and cunning diplomacy, she was a true political powerhouse. Her brilliant management skills transformed her nation into a force to be reckoned with, and so the people of her land gave her a fitting title. She was known as Roland, the Bride of Roserant. But behind this powerful image was a secret the public never knew. A story of unrequited love for the one man she truly admired. She confessed her heart belonged only to the Demon Lord Kymars. She even begged her own father to accept her unwavering devotion. A moment interrupted by a young Calone, forcing Kymars to call her a mere co-worker. Ouch. A young Calone offers a gift, cookies made with the help of Uncle Oddgash. Well, this is awkward. She explains she's giving Rosalind the prettiest ones, a simple gesture of childhood innocence. Rosalind accepts, but her heart aches, feeling she has no place in Kymars' family. The memory shifts to Kymars asking his daughter to name a castle for him someday. The young Calone ponders the great responsibility with a thoughtful expression. Rosalind, moved by the moment, suggests the name Rose Palace in Caleone's honor. A soft smile graces her lips, a treasured memory of a simpler time. The moment fades away like scattered rose petals on the wind. Back in the present, Rosalind announces that with Kymars gone, she has come to see his only living relative, the Lady Calone. Rosalind's gaze is steady, a picture of grace and quiet power. Calone, on the other hand, is absolutely beaming in her new royal attire. Rosalind apologizes for the modest setting, wishing for the splendor of her own palace. But the feast is magnificent, and Calone insists it's more than enough. Rosalind then turns to Hanju, thanking him for returning the lost princess. She's heard of his reputation for solving problems in creative ways, but then she brings up a rather peculiar connection he seems to have. Guess word travels fast. Rosalind just smiles, admitting she has a soft spot for love stories. The two share a tense laugh while Calone watches in confusion. But Han Jae-woo cuts to the chase, revealing he carries a message from Elector Steele Phillip. Rosalind's interest is piqued, asking to see the Elector for herself. Han Jae-woo explains the Elector is unwell, thinking that unwell is a nice word for dead. Her expression darkens, a single word revealing her deep suspicion. She cuts through the facade, asking if he is the infamous Lord Valorstead. Han Jae-woo calmly sips his tea, ready to deliver the Elector's final words. The memory shows a terrified Philip, explaining his inability to act in public, a detail he conveniently left out. Han Jae-woo holding a blade to his throat. The Elector's forced decree orders Rosalind to assist Han Jae-woo in his plans. Han Jae-woo knows this is a necessary lie to secure a powerful new ally. Elsewhere, a horned demon reports on a curse, revealing another Grand Lord's influence. The horned demon's thoughts reveal his limitations against a Grand Lord's protection. He decides recruiting Rosalind is essential, planning to frame a demon named Pazamut. Back in the capital, Han Jae-woo concludes the delivery of the Elector's final message. Rosalind listens intently, her expression unreadable as she weighs his words. She calmly reaches for her tea, taking a moment to consider her options. With a sly smile, she reveals that her cooperation will come at a price. Han Jae-woo plays along, confidently asking her to name her condition. She alludes to the crippling economic blockade currently strangling her domain. Rosalind tests his authority, asking if he truly has the influence to sway the Emperor. With a confident grin, Han Jae-woo assures her it's already as good as done. With a wicked grin, Han Jae-woo reveals that the table has already been set. The scene shifts to the magnificent imperial palace in the capital city of Veen. Inside, a desperate nobleman pleads with the Emperor, reminding him of his promise to help. The Emperor offers a half-hearted apology, his tone anything but sincere. Emperor Franz IV explains that his heart softened after hearing their story, a likely tale. The nobleman kneels at the foot of the throne, arguing that proper procedure must be followed. But a bead of sweat betrays his growing fear that his pleas are falling on deaf ears. The Emperor gestures to several sacks overflowing with gold and jewels beside his throne. The nobleman can only stare in stunned silence, the implication hitting him like a physical blow. With a smug look, the Emperor admits he couldn't refuse such a generous tribute. Guess every man has his price. A flashback shows the desperate Elector ordering his man to the capital. He commands his subordinate to fix the situation by any means necessary. The nobleman can only curse his enemies, his face twisted with rage. Just then, a guard announces the arrival of the man himself, Lord Valor. The grand doors swing open as a figure steps into the throne room. Han Jae-woo offers a polite greeting, honored to be in the Emperor's presence. He introduces himself as Valorstead Valor, looking down on his defeated rival. The Emperor welcomes him, telling him to ignore the man on the floor. The nobleman fumes as he's dismissed as nothing more than a piece of furniture. Ouch! But Han Jae-woo requests a private audience, and the Emperor casually agrees. The guards seize the nobleman, who struggles against their iron grip. He's dragged away, screaming about his house's long history of loyalty. His face is a mask of pure desperation as his world crumbles around him. Han Jae-woo offers a cheerful wave, as if saying goodbye to an old friend. He watches the man's pathetic exit with a completely untroubled smile. A smug grin reveals just how much he's enjoying his rival's downfall. The nobleman looks back, his expression a mix of shock and utter horror. Han Jae-woo's thoughts are simple and dismissive. The man was a fool. Guess politics is a rough business. The scene shifts to a dark fortress crackling with sinister energy, Oddgash's castle. A group of battle-hardened demons stands ready, a number 10 glowing above them. A blonde-haired demon leader grits her teeth, her patience clearly worn thin. She curses her pig-headed father for his stubbornness. She stomps her foot, blaming all of this on the wretched Calone. Green lightning crackles around her as she seethes with rage. Just then, a nervous green subordinate rushes in with urgent news. She explodes in a fit of rage, demanding he spit it out. The servant reveals the Emperor has just issued an economic blockade on their region. Her eyes narrow, the news hitting her like a physical blow. She stands in stunned silence, her entire army waiting for her command. Looks like it's a bad day to be in management. The terrified servant can only sweat, wondering what his lady will do next. She demands to know what an economic blockade even means. Her subordinate's thoughts are simple and grim. They're completely screwed. A trivia card introduces Margareta, Oddgash's daughter, whose intelligence is ranked lowest in the household. Family reunions must be fun. Back in the throne room, Han Jae-woo finishes his theatrical display. He lays the flattery on thick, praising the emperor's magnificent capital. But the emperor is having none of it, telling him to cut the act. The emperor's gaze is sharp, seeing right through the young man's facade. His internal thoughts are less than charitable, labeling Han Jae-woo a weasel. He reflects on how quickly Han Jae-woo has made a name for himself in politics. He notes how our boy expertly used Caleone's story to sway public opinion. The emperor muses on how Han Jae-woo even turned his enemies into allies. He knows this ambitious young man has a reason for coming before him. In his mind, Han Jae-woo is just a mouse, and he is the cat on the throne. But Han Jae-woo's knowing smile suggests he's well aware of the emperor's thoughts. The emperor remains confident, believing this upstart will be devoured in the end. He casually asks Han Jae-woo to state his business. Without hesitation, Han Jae-woo kneels before the imperial throne. He looks up with a polite smile, ready to make his move. He requests the economic blockade be moved from Roserant to Oddgash's domain. Guess he's the new foreign policy advisor. The emperor asks what he gets in return, and Han Jae-woo offers a treaty with the demon king of roses. The emperor erupts in laughter, mocking the very idea. But Han Jae-woo's grin is sharp as he presents a sealed document. The emperor's disbelief echoes through the throne room. His smug confidence quickly evaporates into nervous sweat. The scroll reveals Rosalind's own words, a promise of immense annual tribute. Stunned, the emperor demands proof that the document is genuine. Han Jae-woo's sly, knowing smile is all the answer he needs. He then begins his masterstroke, painting Oddgash as the continent's greatest villain. He offers the emperor a vision of unparalleled glory and public adoration. A little ego-stroking never hurt a negotiation. The emperor's mind fills with cheering crowds as he considers the offer. The emperor slams his glove down, declaring that politics is not a game of emotion. But Han Jae-woo's glare reveals his true thoughts. The emperor had no problem with it before. He puts on a show, reminding the court that Oddgash supposedly died in the last Great War. But his followers, a horde of monstrous demons, are now preparing for a new conflict. He paints a grim picture of war, claiming the citizens live in constant fear. The emperor listens, his face shrouded in shadow as he weighs the heavy decision. He strokes his chin, contemplating the young man's carefully crafted words. The emperor admits Han Jae-woo has a silver tongue, and our boy just eats up the praise. A system window reveals his secret weapon, a skill for demonic-level acting. Well, that explains a lot. His eyes glow with hidden power as he offers a small token of his loyalty. Han Jae-woo clenches his fist, channeling his conviction as a humble subject. But the emperor explodes in rage, refusing to be swayed by his sugar-coated lies. Han Jae-woo feigns shock, acting as if he barely withstood the emperor's immense pressure. Losing his composure, the emperor screams for the guards to seize him. The guards move in, and Han Jae-woo plays the part of the confused, loyal subject. He's dragged away, shouting in protest as the emperor's trap springs shut. But a close look reveals his internal monologue. This isn't how it was supposed to go. The scene cuts away to a memory, a trumpet heralding a grander occasion. At a lavish ball, a blue-haired woman stands amidst the chaos of her demonic followers. Guess table manners aren't part of their training. A woman in a simple dress offers her hand to Han Jae-woo, a polite gesture in a gilded hall. The emperor erupts in laughter, completely charmed by Han Jae-woo's flattery. Han Jae-woo plays along, his strained smile hiding a calculating mind. But the emperor dismisses all formality under the grand chandeliers. He insists Han Jae-woo call him uncle, a forced intimacy that's clearly a power play. With a tearful, award-winning performance, Han Jae-woo reluctantly agrees. The emperor parades his new nephew around the ballroom, completely won over. From outside, a hooded figure watches as the emperor offers Han Jae-woo the world. It's the nobleman from Saxony, now an outcast, biting back his rage. He seethes with jealousy, believing that coveted position should have been his. He collapses in despair, his world completely shattered by Han Jae-woo's political masterstroke. The disgraced nobleman from Saxony can only watch, his face a mask of disbelief. His followers, now desperate, suggest a truly insane plan: kidnap Valpergus. The others protest, knowing the danger of such a move, but they're out of options. One man panics, screaming that failure would mean the end for all their families. The nobleman calls them fools for even considering such a reckless idea. But one of his men, eyes wide with mania, decides they have to act now. Meanwhile, back at their residence, the party is just getting started. Hanju is dragged into the room, complaining loudly that he's dying from drink. Calone looks on, unimpressed, telling him it's his own fault for being so greedy. He drunkenly boasts about his past exploits, calling it socializing, right before losing his lunch. Classy. He's praised for his drinking prowess, a true master of diplomacy. But his ring glows, signaling an urgent call he'd rather ignore. On the other end, a frantic voice screams that something terrible has happened. His companion insists this is no time for a hangover. The message is clear, the situation is absolutely critical. A blonde knight is bound and captured, the victim of a desperate plot. The disgraced nobleman from Saxony stands with his followers, his revenge now in motion. Meanwhile, at Oddgash's castle, a different storm is brewing. His daughter, Margareta, declares it's time to avenge her father's defeat. She vows to consume the demon dragon, ready to step into her father's shoes. Guess she's over her confusion about basic economics. She rallies her forces, refusing to believe her father could have fallen so easily. She orders them to train relentlessly, aware the demon dragon still has allies. A training dummy is smashed to pieces, a show of their renewed resolve. With a wild grin, she declares their next target, a place called Grossglockner. But her slimy subordinate urges caution, his face a mask of pure anxiety. He reminds her of the Emperor's blockade and Valpergus' recent revival of a saint. With Roserant's own blockade lifted, the powerful Roslyn will surely make a move. The Demon Lord of Roses is not an enemy to be taken lightly. The servant begs her to reconsider, to proceed with a careful, strategic plan. But Margareta silences him with a stomp, calling him a weakling. So much for listening to your advisors. Her subordinate, a strange robotic demon, can only stand there in stunned silence. His thoughts are simple and to the point. They are in very, very deep trouble. A trivia card confirms the Emperor is a cunning man who loves power and money above all else.